All right. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the weekly scraps. We got a special guest in the house, Eric Nicksick, Coach Eric Nicksick. What's up, brother?
What's up, my brother? Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We've been supposed to do this for a while now, so finally we're getting it done. So I'm actually really happy to have you on, especially with this week's fights. We got the International Fight Week, so we got some big fights coming up. And it's Sunday Fun Day, so of course this podcast is sponsored by Nerd Focus. So we're gonna cheers to this. Let you have some of this. That one's warm, so you don't even have to do that one. So we'll share this
Pour
one.
that one up.
Yeah.
What do we got in there?
We got a little Ray and Nephew.
Okay.
I'll give you a little bit of sauce. I think that's solid.
Sunday Fun Day.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Let's go. So it's not bad. We actually just had with the rum too.
Yeah.
We had Jamal Hill in the house not too long ago showing us some stuff, going over some technique, some things that he does pretty well, which is striking. I'm obviously the grappler. He's more of the KO artist.
Yeah.
So that was cool to kind of have him in-house. He was telling me that. So we posted a clip with myself sparring with Julian and Rosa. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yo, brother, he called me up. He's like, do you trust me? He was high as hell.
Oh, yeah.
He was high as hell. He goes, brother, first off, do you trust me to give you some advice and bless you with some shit because you think I know what I'm talking about? I was like, of course, bro. You're the champ for a reason.
Yes.
So he was like, there's a couple of things I saw with the striking, and I'm coming out there Sunday, and I want to show you some stuff. And he was showing me through like FaceTime or whatever. And I was like, yo, bro, let's link up when you get out here. Fresh off the plane, he got in. A couple hours later, he pulled up to the crib, and we got some working. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and the stuff he was showing and talking about, especially like with your ideologies of cage control and trying to push guys in the barrier, not to give too much away, but like what he was showing was amazing and spot on. And you have the ability to strike from both stances, and kind of that's what he was alluding to.
Yeah. He's good, man. I didn't realize how good he was. Like, obviously he's winning. He's a champ for a reason. But then when you see him move like that, you're like, nah, this motherfucker is good. He's like
just ask
legit.
JP.
Just ask JP getting a freaking oblique kick to the abdomen and big ass red mark on his stomach. Yeah. So obviously big win this weekend. UFC Vegas 76.
Yeah.
Sean Strickland, main event, taking on a stud. And I got to be fair, like this kid, Magomedov, it was only his second fight in the UFC, which is absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So it's a couple of things I was thinking. Either the UFC has a lot of faith in him, they have a lot of faith in Ali, or or they just like, Sean needs a fight, let's get this motherfucker a fight because he keeps asking, and we're going to give him somebody. So I don't know what your takeaways were from that performance.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a combination of everything that you just said, right? I was out in Hawaii when I got the phone call, and that was the name that they gave us. And of course, Sean's like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Wait, you were in Hawaii?
I was in Hawaii, yeah.
With the fam?
Oh no, this was before the fight.
Oh,
this
okay.
When the fight was offered.
Because I remember you were mentioning that too.
I was out in Hawaii in April, and then we had Kai and Raf, and then Sean's like, "I don't even know who this guy is." I knew who he was because of I was on that PFL circuit in 2018 with Lance and Vinny.
Yeah.
So I knew very well who he was. But I kind of felt like it was one of those Alex Pereira incidents where they're like, yo, we're either going to try to push this dude and use Sean, or this is where Sean can actually go out and shine. I think it was a combination of both, right? Like,
yeah.
Like Sean needed to go out and go and perform the way he did if he really wanted a title shot. And but this is also could have been very much a trap fight for Sean as well. This guy's skilled.
Dude, talk about high risk, low reward. I mean, and I guess in the curious case of Sean Strickland, it's high risk, high reward for everything that he does. Because he's just Sean. Like, he's going to fight anyone, anytime, and do the man dance and box, as he says, so.
And he's motivated, and he's public about it. He's motivated by money.
Yeah.
And I think most of us are, and especially when you're a prize fighter. We sat down and discussed actual numbers and like, hey, what makes you want to risk your spot in line amount wise? And I said, if we can get to this amount, are you happy with that amount? And he was all about it. Making those guys came back with a flat number, which is nice because you know how it is. You're fighting for a win, and then you're fighting for your show and your win bonus. But when it comes to a time when you're able to fight for flat pay, I think it takes a lot of pressure off of a fighter. To be honest with you,
100%.
So and the number was great. And hey, man, you down to risk this opportunity for a little bit of coin? And he said, yeah, let's go fight this dude.
That's what's up, man. And I'm guessing. Wait, so do you manage him or is it him?
I don't, but I mean, listen, like Sean,
just kind of giving him advice.
Sean will call me for everything,
Yeah.
and hey, what do you, and we have a good relationship. He trusts me, and I think from my standpoint, there's that ABC always be coaching, whether it's MMA or it's not. Sean's one of those guys. You're kind of always coaching, whether it's etiquette or the way you talk to the team or the way you present yourself. Again, I'm not very good at it when it comes to press conference stuff like that, but I think it's important for him to understand that he does have a reach. The things he does say have validity, so we got to be careful, man, and kind of that approach that he has. But when it comes to the fight game stuff, he'll pick up the phone and it'll be probably myself and Lance from Iridium. We'll talk to him and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Oh, so he's with Iridium.
I don't think he's actually with Iridium. I think he kind of just hires Lance. I don't know, to be honest with you. So,
Sean Strickland does what Sean Strickland does.
Exactly,
That's it, baby. That's it.
You don't listen for shit, though.
My first encounter with Sean was not a very pleasant one. As I was training at Syndicate, helping Marab, and then it was a sparring day, and I just came off of a fight. I can't tell you which one it was. Maybe it was the Sanhagen fight. Fresh off of surgery, fresh off of a win. And I've just been pounding drinks. I've just been on the Aljamain Sterling party show. That's it, the tour bus. And I get there and like they ask me for a round. I do a round with Shane Shapiro.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And he's a big dude. Shap is big, man.
Shane's big.
Yeah, he fights at 55, and he was a little more in the off season, but just getting into shape. So he's still heavy, but in good shape. And man, that was a tough first round. Took me down. I got up a couple times, but then he kept mat returning me. And then they suckered me into two more. And then here's Sean Strickland the whole first round, the whole second round. Rah, rah, you got to do. He's talking. I'm like right there. Right. I'm like, Sean is literally right at the side of the cage. I'm like, Sean, you could talk to me. You're like talking to the entire room. Why are you doing this to me? And in my head, I'm like, I ain't no bitch. I'm not about to just quit.
Right.
But I was so tired and exhausted. I was like, dude, if he wasn't here just being such a loudmouth on top of me, I probably would have just been like, I'm good with one round. I'm done, bro. I'm good. I got nothing to prove.
Yeah, nothing to prove.
I just fought.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm okay and comfortable in my own skin.
Right.
But because he kept saying whatever he was saying, I was like, all right, I'm going to do one more. It's going to be a shitty round, but I'm going to sack up and I'm going to do another one. And I think we did 3 that day. But it was, I told myself, after this day, I got to come back here. And I got to get Shane back. Even if I don't win the sparring, it's more about giving a better version of myself.
Correct.
And yeah, that was just not a very pleasant experience of Sean. I was like, I can't wait till someone fucks this guy up.
But let me ask you this though, like his way of motivating is like off-putting, but probably he's like actually trying to get the best out of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just this brash asshole off-putting way of doing things. But he does it to a lot of guys in the room, and it challenges dudes, right?
100%.
I
agree.
Hey, I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to fucking show Sean what's up. And then at the end of it, he's like proud of you. He's happy you went back in there and did it.
Yeah.
And he'll give you your shine for it, you know?
He will. Because he definitely did that after I beat Jan in the second fight. He was like, I got to tell you, bro, I didn't think there was any chance you were winning that fight. I was like, oh, thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
Thanks for being like, I guess, a kind of teammate, but I guess that's cool. But
this is the thing about Sean that I think, everybody that now because you've been around him long enough.
I like him now. He's
right.
growing on me.
And I think it's funny because, when people first meet him, they're like, I think I'm going to hate this motherfucker. And then all of a sudden, over time, you're like, this guy's actually a pretty good dude. He's a good teammate. He wants the best for you. What I love about him in this day and age, what you're going to get from him, he's the realest dude you're going to meet.
100%.
Right? He's not going to lie to you. He's not going to talk shit behind your back. He's going to tell you right to your face. And a lot of that stuff he tells you is actually things you need to hear.
Yeah.
He
actually told Jake that he looks, what was the actual word that he used? The FAG. Was it an FAG? Because he had a bubble jacket on, a bubble vest?
Yeah, just a regular, like a Carhartt vest thing.
Oh my God.
It's like, why do you dress like that, brah?
He's supposed to produce his podcast, so I introduced him to the PI, and he just starts fucking
that means he likes you, bro. Once you hit that roast status, you're in.
Yeah, but see, the only issue I had with that day with the Shane sparring session was it made me want to have a vendetta against Shane, even though I knew Shane was a great dude. It wasn't Shane. Nothing to do with Shane. But
Shane's catching straight.
Yeah, for no reason. And even though Shane still he still gives me really good rounds.
Yeah.
But it was my first interaction with the guy. I'm like, Sean, I don't know you from a hole in the wall. You're talking to me like I'm some like peasant. I'm like, damn, dude, you must be like really good because the last I checked, like he was still working his way up, obviously.
For sure.
But yeah, now he's here. Sean's arrived, and it's cool. It's cool to see, and obviously, even with his backstory, seeing a lot of things that he grew up with, and now how he's changed and understood and understands how the real world works and how it's outside of that bubble he kind of grew up in.
For sure.
And it's nice. And even his brother is a really nice guy. I watched 2 of the main events with him now. The last one that he won, I think was Brendan Allen or somebody else.
The last main event was
It was at Apex.
Imanov.
Yeah, I watched that one with him.
4-day notice.
Yeah, and then I watched this one with them as well.
No, his brother's really cool. And his sister, too. Like, they're good people.
Oh, that was his sister?
Yeah, well, I don't think his sister was at this fight, but I met his sister before, too.
Yeah, so I just have to break that story of, like, I had a very awkward interaction with Sean, and I really like the guy. He could be a little brash, but I think it's an acquired taste.
Bro, you stole the words right out of my mouth, man. He's an acquired taste, and it's one of those things. It's like once you're around him enough, and look, man, like my role in the gym is to create some sort of harmony, right? Like I'm basically like the John Madden of MMA. Of the 1970s Oakland Raiders. We have outlaws, renegades, everybody kind of does their thing, but my job is to try to keep it cohesive and keep us all getting along. But, at the end of the day, having the amount of talent we have in that room, right? Like, you got like, I look over last week and it's you and Patchy Mix sharing the mat together, right? Yeah. Then you got Kai Kamaka, you got Dan Ige, Julian Arosa, Jeremy Kennedy at the 45. Yeah, like the room is just amazing. Not everybody's always going to get along or see eye to eye on certain things, but when you understand the gravity of how nice it is to have the level of training partners we have under that roof, you have to make sure that you're creating this harmony so we all get along and train.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. But I was really proud of him, man, because I know he was saying he got hit with a couple Peter Pan kicks. I thought that was the funniest thing. I was like, because I literally get up and start doing Peter Pan kicks, like, because that's exactly what he was getting kicked with. But I was like, man, those look like they hurt.
Yeah, so we knew, well, I didn't say we know, but our thought process was, when we sit down, and you and I do it all the time, we sit down, lay out a game plan or thoughts, then we'll break ourselves down and kind of see what the approach they might have for us. And that was it. Like, look, Abus, there's no reason why he's fighting a main event. There has to be a lot of added pressure on him. He's probably going to come out hot and heavy, right? So, hey, footwork, movement, feints, stay on your stick, but all the while, any good work that we get in that first round, especially if we can get some wrestling exchanges in.
I want you to taste this one separately. So when you finish that one, I remember my first drink.
Well, you don't even want to start that with me, bud.
You're right. I got a title fight.
If you're gonna run with the big dog, can't piss like a puppy.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of the game plan was like, hey, let's get in some of those wrestling exchanges, some clinch exchanges. Let's tax on them a little bit in that first round. We thought rounds 1 and 2 were going to be kind of that same complexion. But towards the end of the first round, maybe the last 30 seconds, did you notice Abus's body language kind of like
change,
immediately slow down, man? And it was really, Sean didn't hit him with anything. You could just see that, I think that adrenaline dump, the fact that like he couldn't get him out of there, the fact he wasn't hurting him, the fact he took him down, he couldn't hold him down. It was like all that thing combination of was like, boom. So when we got Sean in the corner, I just simply said, bro, I know we didn't win that round, but for the complexity of a 5-round fight,
easy.
That was exactly what we wanted. And I didn't know if that was going to be the same look for round 2, but I thought Sean would start to pick up the pace. That's what we picked up on. And then, Sean laced him with the right hand. I think right at the start of that second round, it was just downhill from there.
Yeah, I know there was one that buckled him, and he kind of started to reel backwards. And it was interesting because I thought he was going to go to the body because he was covering up so well up top.
Right?
But it was like Sean just wanted to just punch him in the face. I was like, Sean just wants to torture this guy. He doesn't even, almost like he felt like he wanted to show him that he did not belong in there with him.
Yeah,
that's kind of
death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah, I was just like, damn, this guy was just trying to punish him.
Yeah,
I'm like, punch him in the body, make him take a seat, and end the fight.
Send him home. I'm screaming, bro. Hit him to the body once just to get his hands to drop.
Yeah.
Even teep it or throw something up the midline. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Sean had that flurry, and I think I remember at one point he hit him with like a 4 or 5 piece against the cage.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it really any of them ever landed, but you know how it is when a guy covers that heavy, he's coming back with something huge. And credit to Sean and his defense, his eyesight. He pulled off those hooks quite a bit and was able to recounter.
Yeah, because some of them came back with some heat, and I was like,
man.
damn, good thing he got out of the way of those.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think Sean has the potential to challenge for a world title, maybe and possibly become a champion. But the only way I can see that happening is, and I'm going to steal a line from Dana White, he has to get out of his own way in the sense of trying to be too much of a macho man and use more diversity in his offensive attacks. I'm not saying get away from the boxing because it works, but in situations where you got a guy hurt and he's covering up well, okay, why are we being stubborn with the up top? Let's maybe start to attack something a little bit different to give the guy something else to think about, and then we can attack something else and get back on what we were doing before. Because a guy like Izzy, Robert Whittaker, those guys are going to be super dynamic in their approach and versatile, like just the different diversity of attacks that they're going to bring to the octagon is going to be very challenging for a guy who's coming in there primarily to box and has a great gas tank.
Agreed.
So again, I think he has all the tools in the world to become great. It's just whether or not he wants to be the showman or be the guy who gets his hand raised. He can still be a showman. I think both could be cohesive. I think he could do both.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, let's be honest, man. That's Izzy and Rob are the cream of the crop. They're 1A and 1B when it comes to that division with an unbelievable all-around skill set. And I think, too, like kind of coming from the Francis Ngannou mold, Izzy's doing things behind the scenes to shore up the things that he might not have been as great at. But he has those, training camps and off seasons where I would expect a guy like Izzy, the champ that he is, the camp that he's at, that he's working on all those little holes
100%.
to shore up, and just kind of from the same model as what happened with Francis, we were knocking dudes out, but what were we doing in the meantime? I mean, you were at those practices. Francis was taking everybody down every practice.
Yeah.
I mean, how many practices did you see just Francis mauling dudes on the ground?
He's a big guy.
But, I mean, it got to the point where Francis would take guys down or like, dude, you got to let him back up. The guy can't get up. You know? But there's a difference between what we're seeing in the room versus what's actually happening in the fight. So what we're putting on tape is my point, and what the general public might see is, hey, this guy's just a knockout artist. Well, Izzy, I guarantee you that dude is working on all those little things and the nuances of the game to stay ahead of the curve, So we got our work cut out for us, man.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, I think he can achieve those things. And I look to guys like I hate that I always use this reference, like Michael Bisping. Probably not the most talented guy in the world, but super persistent. Stayed on the won't go away. Great cardio, confident, good fundamentals. Eventually got his opportunity and made the most out of it.
Exactly. I mean, shit. Luke might win 99 out of those fights, but dude, all we need is that one shot. That one.
And you're a world champion for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, dude, I love the Matt Serra story. Speaking of a guy like Matt had his opportunity and he made the most of it.
It's so crazy. We got 3 guys from Long Island that became a world champion. It's nuts. And we have a 4th that could potentially be a world champion in Marab.
Yeah.
And we had 5 in the sense that Al fought for a world title, 24 hours notice against who people consider one of the greatest lightweights of all time against Khabib, and went the distance with him. So, yeah, I think the sport's all about opportunity, man. It's not always about what you deserve. Sometimes it's about what you can negotiate and what you could do with that opportunity.
Agreed, man.
Before we get into UFC 290, it's 291, right?
291. Yeah. Wow.
That's Boston, bro. Come on, brah. You want to go to the bar, brah?
Yeah.
That's the Boston talk right there. You're going to hear a lot of guys say, I'm bar. Where's the car?
Why are you looking at me?
Because I was asking you. Is it 291?
Yeah.
291, right? Or 290?
Fuck. Now I gotta look up.
I think it's 290 because I think 291.
Salt Lake, right?
Salt Lake. I think they're doing a pay-per-view for that.
Yeah.
The BMF belt.
BMF belt.
Okay.
Yep.
290. Okay, so we got UFC 290. But should we do this one first, or did you have the questions you want to do first?
Yeah, I got some questions.
Or which one do you think we should do first?
Let's do the fights first.
Okay, let's do the fights. So let's give some interesting ones first. Let's start with the main event, obviously.
Main event.
Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. I know it's a pretty nice card.
The whole main card is set.
Yeah.
I told Sean let's fight on this card. He didn't want to fight on this card. I was like, nah, I'm fighting August 19th. I was like, oh, you want to rush me? Now when I rush you, you don't want to do it. I could have made the weight. Like, it wouldn't be fun, but I would have done it just to prove a point. Like, you want to test my gangster? I'll show you what's up.
Cheers.
I'll show you what's up.
Volk versus Yair. YouTube right.
All right. Something about this fight has me leaning towards Yair, man.
Really?
And it's because I'm a heavy kicker, and I know what that shit feels like. And I just feel like Yair's got something up his sleeve, or should I say up his shorts, that's going to surprise Volk. And the range, I think he's going to bring something different to the game. I think if Yair's doing the right homework, staying long with those kicks and staying on his feints, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Volkanovski to get inside and land those big overhands. Even though he's got great feints, I favor the kicker because it's not like Volk is a great wrestler who's looking to take you down and hold you down. But even if he does take him down, I mean, Yair's been looking like a world beater off of his back, especially in that last fight with Josh Emmett.
Man. Yeah, no, I think this fight's going to be a lot closer
than people think.
I think there's a little value if you're a bettor on Yair. Don't be mad if you lose $100.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a lot closer than what the odds are saying. But dude, I gotta lean towards Volk, man. Like I just every time out, this guy's got a new wrinkle in his game. He's showing something different.
It's almost like betting against Mayweather.
Look, man. Like when you get a guy who's a champion for such a long time, we always just. Not saying we root for the underdog, but we're always trying to find ways that this guy might get beat and then just go out and just beat the living shit out of somebody. Like, it's Volkanovski,
Yeah, I like that, though.
Yeah,
I like that.
Me too. I know, we were the underdog for a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, I think that the kick game, yes, that's going to be evident and apparent. I think really for me is how Volkanovski is going to funnel and control geography to limit some of the lateral movement and spins, and maybe close down some of the kicks or utilize Yair's kicking to do the takedowns off of the kicks, right?
Yeah.
Now, yes, Yair's done a great job off of his back. He's very offensive off his back. Like something that I've been taking note to, like, dude, he's dropping elbows, he's active off his back, and he's throwing up triangles, he's doing things, and then if it's not working, he's working his way back up.
This kind of reminds me of that because he had that one beatdown with Frankie Edgar.
That was the one that stands out to me a lot.
And he changed everything since that day, it seems like.
Well, now his off his back has urgency, right? In the Frankie fight, he had no urgency. He was just kind of laying there, right? So, sometimes
it's kind of like a fish out on land.
Right. But, sometimes it takes that ass whooping to go, dude, I'm going back to the drawing board and getting better at those things, And he's, I think, simplified his game. Maybe came up with one or two submissions that he's like, I'm just going to focus on these. I'm going to focus on triangles and some elbows out of there. And if it doesn't work, I'm kicking off and getting up.
Yeah. I always tell people, if you're going to get taken down, you got to be dangerous off your back. You can't just be there to just get laid on and have the fight stalled. And I hate when people say the word stalled because that would mean both guys aren't doing anything. And I feel like if I take you down and you're on your back, the onus is on you to get up or look for something offensive off of your back to make me create space or to help you create space so you could get out of this position. Because I'm being offensive, even though I might not be offensively striking or whatever, but I am offensively dominating the position. What are you doing other than looking up at the ref and saying, hey, can you get this man off of me so I can stand up? Dude, if this was in a street fight, people tell me, like, if you shoot like that in a street fight and you stay on your knees, you're going to get kicked in the head. Dumbass. This ain't a street fight.
Yeah.
You think I'm going to do that in a street fight? Like, Let's be real here. Like, there's some type of, you got to have some type of wits about you. So if you're playing the game and you're laying down and, like, your game is, I get taken down, I'm going to try to look to the ref and then I'm getting beaten up, that's a bad angle to take and approach. I think you got to be mentally and physically proactive about if I get taken down, what are my steps to get back up to my feet or to change the position to give me a better chance of winning the fight or getting back some time to even up the scorecards and maybe make it difficult for the judges to decide who won that round.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, when you go back and watch guys like John Fitch and Jake Shields, and
dominant,
but it might not be aesthetically pleasing to the fan, and the promoters might not like it. But dude, how hard is it to hold another grown ass man down for 15 or 25 minutes straight? And then, GSP kind of revolutionized that a little bit too. His style of ground and pound, he'd take guys down, but he had a very active ground and pound. He wasn't anchored in. He kind of floated on dudes, right?
Yeah.
So he was very active when it came to his ground and pound. So he felt like he got away with that. Then you get guys like Colby Covington, man, where he just mauls people. He just mauls people on the ground. And then, the extent of cardio that you have to be able to do that. Yeah. So, it's important. And then I think for us, like, in our room, we do our 15-second get-ups, right? Like, you got 15 seconds to get this dude off of you. It's urgent. You have to move. You have to move. You have to get up. So when you're on your back, make it a purpose to get up and not just lay there and just, the round's all of a sudden gone because you laid on your back the whole time.
Yeah. And I remember watching some of the Colby Covington fights, and when he was leading up to the fight with, who was it? I think it was the Usman rematch. I legit watched from his UFC debut all the way until he fought Usman the first time. And I would take clips of every single takedown, and I would put it down in my notes. I brought it to the room, and I was teaching the MMA wrestling class at Law MMA, and we would run through all the situations that he would do, stepping over the leg. The guy steps back. You're going to turn it in the other way, pinch the legs, both legs come together, clasp the legs, take them down. All these sequences, because this is how much I like to study the game, just to even try to improve what I'm doing. I watch Khabib. I watched a whole marathon of all these guys.
You invite Jamal Hill to your house.
Invite Jamal Hill to my house. Like, people don't understand how much time I actually put into the sport. And sometimes you could get a little burnt out. This is, like, obviously separate from what we're talking about. But sometimes that could take a lot out of you mentally. And that's why I was kind of like, dude, like, after this fight, I had so much things with Henry, so many things planned out that I just wanted to decompress and stop thinking about fighting for once, because I do so much to get to the fight and prep myself to mentally get ready for battle. And I had to just kind of ripped it from underneath my legs. And now I'm like, okay, this time you motherfuckers are not doing this to me again. Yeah. I'm going to fight, even though it's literally against my will. And people could say whatever. If Dana were to hear this, Hunter were to hear this, they would say, oh, we're not making him do anything. Like, let's be real here, bro.
Yeah, kind of.
Come on, dude. Like, you kind of are. Right. You kind of are. And let's call a spade a spade. Like, and I'm not trying to say what, like, all the behind-the-scenes thing, because that would be bad business on my part. But you kind of are making me fight sooner than I wanted to, because, like I said, I still have injuries that I'm still nursing to this day. And I'm not going to stop saying that. Like, people can get mad at me. Oh, you're disclosing that you're not 100% healthy. No one is healthy going into the fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And clearly, I just fought. Henry just pulled out of the fight because he's not 100% healthy. I wonder where that happened.
What did we have in the Jan fight, the first fight? It was your neck and your shoulder.
And my neck and my bicep.
Bicep, that's what it was. Yeah.
Bicep for the Jan rematch. So, bicep for the TJ fight.
Did you ever
bicep
talk about
for the
like
Henry
how
fight.
Daily, you and I would text daily? What are we doing today?
Yeah.
Because it really was predicated on
how my neck was feeling.
Yeah, how you felt that day.
And I got through so many training camps like that, and I'm like, people who don't want to give me credit, I'm like, dude, you can say whatever you want. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I don't need to preach to people, oh, feel sorry for me. Like, I chose to do this, you know?
For sure.
And it's the same thing. I'm choosing to do this again. I could simply tell these guys, no, don't fucking call my phone. I'm not fighting.
Right.
I could do that. But, again, behind-the-scenes stuff, they have their ways to kind of make you, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for you guys again.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not going to get any thank yous for it, but I'm going to do this for you guys again. And hopefully this has some type of good faith going to the future. And please, after this, let me enjoy my life a little bit and enjoy the fruits of my labor. Yeah. Even if I say win or lose. Like, honestly, I'm at that point. People say, oh, that's a negative mindset to think. I go, no, dude, it's reality. This is the fight game. Anything can happen. Yeah. Like, on paper, I should smash this guy. Mentally here, I'm going to smash this dude.
Right.
But for the unforeseen event that he were in the 1% chance to win, the one chance that he has of catching me with something to win, dude, life goes on.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, just please let me enjoy my downtime. That's all I'm asking for. Let me heal up. Let me for once get back to 100% so I can get back to semi-Aljamain circa day 28 years old before I was really getting banged up all the time.
Yeah.
And that would be nice. I would like to feel good going into a fight. And that's pretty much it. But I forgot what we were even talking about before that. I don't even know what it was. But like I said, even just to end that rant, like, I'm going to fight. It is what it is. And I have people telling me, even to this day, which could be a little annoying, oh, you could beat this guy even on your worst day. Dude, Sean O'Malley is fucking good.
Dude, he's good, bro.
He's good.
He's good. He's well coached. I've been watching this kid for years.
Yeah, and I don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, he's dangerous, bro.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he's fighting for a title.
100%. Even though he had a cakewalk to the title, I won't deny the fact that he is actually talented and he's very, very, very skilled. And I do know, but once I get to close that distance, and if I get my hands around underneath his cheeks, pause, and I take him down, that fight should be as good as over.
Right.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls a Volkanovski and does his homework and the fight's more interesting than it's supposed to be.
Right.
But again, I also look at the other stuff, the outside factors. Like, again, and I'm not trying to lean and make excuses or whatever. It's my job. If I decide to make that walk and go in there, it's on me. I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to be TJ Dillashaw. Hi, guys, I'm sorry, man. My shoulder was bummed. That's why he kicked my ass. If he kicked my ass, he kicked my ass. We say any place, anywhere, anytime. And if it's this place, this time, and this place, and he beats me, he beats me. If I beat his ass, like I said, I told you so. Don't call my phone.
Yeah, I think what's tough is too, like I watched like all the work. Like you took TJ very seriously.
Very.
I mean, like it was like this is the probably like at the time, I mean every fight's gonna be the most serious at that moment, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the two Jan fights and the TJ fight, bro, like you were dialed in all camp, and we did like every morning we did those drills and everything else, and I think it kind of sucks. My point is that like you did all the things you did right, you won the way you won, and then like they almost kind of try to take it away from you because I was like, I was hurt.
It's annoying, man. It really is, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like I don't expect all the fans to understand what goes into this behind the scenes.
Yeah,
and even on TJ's best day, I could have tied a hand behind my back. I really do not think he was beating me that day.
Yeah, you were on point, man.
With all the prep that we did, not that day. It would have taken a freaking meteorite to strike down on this earth to take me out of there. I really do believe that. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. Going back to like Yair and Volk, I truly do think anything can happen because I think I don't think Volk thinks like this. Like he's comfortable. I think he's pissed off for greatness still because I almost feel like if I'm him, he might still feel like he's not getting the respect that he deserves. Maybe because of his weight class, maybe because he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, interesting.
And I feel people should be talking about him way more, but his popularity to me doesn't seem like it should be where it should be.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I think you're right, and a lot of the extent of like what is he number 2 now in pound for pound?
Should possibly be number one.
Right. I agree.
Respect to John Jones, but should probably be number one based on his activity.
Did you have him beating Islam?
Did we watch that fight back again? We watched it with Nassim Sadikov. And he agreed to that. He was like, no. We had him on camera agreeing too. That fight, to me, at worst, for Islam is a draw. I don't see how you can make the case for Islam winning that fight. And that's respectfully. And I know I get a lot of Dagestani guys that watch this and they think like I hate the Dagestani. I don't hate it. I love those guys.
Yeah.
But because I'm not being biased towards your prejudice, I don't want to say prejudice, that's the wrong term. I don't want to be biased towards their bias. That's the best way to put it. They're very biased where you could do something good and they won't even give you credit. There's we're the best, brother, we're the best. We're the best. That's it, brother. You don't deserve to be, alhamdulillah. It's just like
Abus is German.
But it's crazy to me. It's like, dude, you guys could be a little like, it's okay to give credit where credit is due.
Exactly.
Like Volkanovski did a great job in a fight that was supposed to be really dangerous for him against the second coming of Khabib and arguably won the fight. Mm-hmm. It's okay to say the judges gave it to Islam, but it's okay to also acknowledge that, hey, man, there is a case that Volkanovski could have actually won that fight.
Agreed.
Based on how you're looking at it.
It wasn't a robbery.
No,
by
not
any
at
means,
all. Not at all.
But I had it for Volkanovski. I had him winning the fight.
Yeah, we went back and we watched it, and I was like, wow, Volk actually won this.
Yeah.
And then they were saying, this is what Nas was saying. He was like, because he had his back and he was punching him in the face and taunting to the crowd. I was like, yeah, brother. Like, if I hold your back and, like, we're judging this on the fight, if at the end of the fight you come out with the bruises and you're hugging my back and nothing happens to me and you got punched in the face and the kids in the cafeteria sees us.
It's about damage.
Who you think they're going to be like,
exactly.
Oh, you got fucked up, bro.
It's about damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way he ended that fight.
Yeah.
Volkanovski doesn't get the credit that he deserves. And this is why for me, and I don't like bringing it to me all the time, but in this case, I do believe if I beat Sean O'Malley, when I beat Sean O'Malley, and I make the exit, I take some time to, not taking John Jones 3 years. I don't need 3 years.
Right.
I want to do this in my prime before I get older. If he does win against Yair, that's a tough fight. If I get bigger, fill out, do it the right way, and for me to beat a guy like that, or even just to step in there with a guy like that of his stature and all the things that he's achieved, dude, that's a legacy fight, man.
100%, bro.
And dude, that to me gives me like goosebumps. So I'm like,
I'm with
dude,
you,
that's a scary fight, a dangerous fight, but a fight that changes history.
Right. And look, bro, it's not like you're being like, oh, I'm gonna smoke this dude or anything like that. It's about being the competitor that you are.
That's it.
That's it, man. I just want to compete against the best. And like even for me, like that's where I was so upset. I would say upset, but like disappointed in the fact that we never got the shot of Francis versus John.
Oh.
It had nothing to do with like, oh, we're gonna smoke him. Is this, dude? I just wanted to compete.
It can still happen.
I mean, it can still happen, right?
It can still happen.
It can still happen.
If
for
Dana White wants it to happen,
it could happen.
it can still happen.
But I mean, as the competitor, I mean, I think John Jones is number one, pound for pound GOAT, right?
Yeah.
Like what he's done and what he's
Achieved
accomplished.
over the years, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Who the hell doesn't want to compete against the best? And if we got beat, hey man, we lost against the best to ever do it.
That's it.
That's it. But dude, I want to fucking put my best foot forward, put the best game plan that we can, get our guy prepared the best that we can, and go out there and see what happens.
And that's how I felt against TJ.
Right.
And that's how I felt against Jan. When I called to fight Jan after I fought Sanhagen. Before I fought Sanhagen, I fought Jimmy Rivera. Jimmy Rivera. Then I fought Pedro Munoz. Get my surgery on my wrist. I tore my scaphoid lunate ligament, and this is all the mobility I have in my wrist. It barely bends. So when I shoot a double leg, I could barely hold on to the leg because I can't flex my wrist all the way. Sean Shelby comes up, and I think it's okay for me to talk about this. It's so many years removed. Who do you want to fight? Marlon Moraes, Corey Sanhagen, or Piotr Jan? Give me Piotr Jan. He goes, okay. A couple days later,
Corey Sanhagen.
your fight is Corey Sanhagen. I was like, that's the one fight I did not want.
But that was during COVID, right?
That was we fought during COVID. But I think he asked me before COVID started. But that's the one fight I was like, this is the toughest fight out of all three. I was like, Sean, I'm going to be real with you. This is the toughest fight. Corey Sanhagen is the toughest fight out of these three guys.
A dog.
And I want to fight the guy that you guys are considering the boogeyman that I don't think is the boogeyman because I think it does more for me. And I was like, let me beat Peter Yan and then fight Marlon Moraes in a rematch for the title.
Yeah.
That's the way I saw it.
Right.
He gives me Corey Sanhagen.
Yeah. I mean, shit, it all worked out in the long run, right?
It did. Thankfully, I took that serious, man. I like when he did that, I was like, oh, you gave me the guy that you know.
Right.
I said I did not want to fight. I would fight him, but I did not want to fight him at that point. I was like, if you give me an option out of these three guys, I'd pick this guy. The stationary guy who walks forward and pretends he's like super, super tough and he's gonna walk you down. He's collecting data. Give me that guy.
Yeah. Not to jump too far ahead, but what do you think about that Sanhagen and Umar fight?
That's a lot
Nashville, right?
Nashville. There's a lot of question marks, and that's how much better has Corey Sanhagen's defense have gotten. I can't see Umar wanting to play the striking game. I mean, he can strike. I think he's a better version of striking against Khabib than Khabib, but I don't know how much and how long he's willing to strike for on the feet. And then we also have to wonder, Ali was saying like, yeah, brother, he can go 5 rounds for sure. That's not a question about it. But he's the manager. He should be saying that, right?
Correct, yeah, of course.
So you got to take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying it's not true, but it's going to be his first main event slot where Corey Sanhagen has kind of been proven in that point. We know he can go the distance if needed. And we know he's got the gas tank for it. Whether or not Umar's the real deal, I think he's super talented. I think he's easily top 5. Or should I say, I think he can easily give anyone in the top 5 a run for their money and probably beat them. But with that being said, it's what have you done for me lately? And that's the big question mark for me. I have a hard time going against the grappler, who is Umar.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a hard way for me to go against a guy who's been proven. He's fought grapplers. He's shown that he can grapple, shown that he's willing to adapt and change his game and not just be a one-dimensional striker who switches stances a lot. and is willing to get gritty with the grappling, and Corey Sanhagen. And that, for me, is the question mark. Whose gas tank is going to hold up? Who's going to be able to impose their will? And I think that's what it comes down to. Because, man, I almost feel like I robbed the bank taking down Corey and getting to his bag and throwing the hooks in right away.
Yeah, right away.
But I think Umar does a great job of getting to the back as well. And that's the thing. It's like, can he do it the way I did it?
Right.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, man, I think it's all going to be predicated on Corey's footwork.
Yeah.
You know, and just getting that lead leg out of the way and changing his stances, I think is going to benefit him because of, you know, what type of fit in Umar's going to try to have to try to find. And Corey walks you into traps, man. He does a very good job of those drop steps, you know, pressure release, opening the gap like we saw against Frankie, inviting you in and setting those traps with the knees and other things coming up the midline. He does a very good job with that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting fight. I'm very much looking forward to that one. And if Umar wins, then I can see how they would try to leapfrog Merab for that. But at the same time, I feel like Merab has to be the next guy. So they better not try to fuck my boy. And that's why I even told Merab after his fight with Jan, I said, call for the title, bro. And I was in the corner with him. I was like, bro, call for the title.
Yeah.
Call for the title, dude.
Yeah.
I want you to because we already know what's up. After this, I have no desire to really cut down to 135 anymore. I'm over it, bro.
Yeah,
I'm 100% over that shit. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. So
your cuts are crazy.
Dude, 35 pounds.
I know, bro. Your
35
cuts are fucking crazy. You and Stamen, like I look at Stamen at times, I'm like, how in the hell are you guys getting down to 35, bro? Yeah. It's nuts.
He's a fire hydrant himself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I'm like, it's gonna be a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. But just going back to Yair.
Yeah, we ran a little bit. You know what I mean? We had a couple.
Hey, we pulled the Joe Rogan.
Sunday
We pulled the
Funday.
Joe Rogan.
Sunday
We made a
Funday.
full circle.
All right, well, hold on. We got Pantoja and Moreno.
Can I ask for a prediction for the main event?
I like
You
both
gave
guys.
yours. You gave it.
I say Volk by decision.
Okay. Man, that's a crazy prediction.
Why is it crazy?
Because Yair is so scary. It's like, just think, like, how does Volk get through that?
It's
5
fucking
rounds?
Volkanovski.
No, I know, but like that's how good it is. It's like I don't know.
No, hey, listen. Sometimes, like when you get the timing and the timing's right, Yair's cough. I mean, everything that he's doing, bro. But look, I mean, he fought Max Holloway 2 fights ago, right? Like,
That was a war.
it's a I mean, you know, and he beats Ortega, arguably like Ortega. All these things. He looked amazing against Emmett, right? But how did Emmett look against Ilya? So I'm not discrediting or taking anything away from Yair. I'm just on that Volkanovski train, man.
Yeah, but to that point, I just feel like Emmett is so one-dimensional with just the heavy looping boxing strikes that he throws, where Topuria is more, I'm going to use a jab, more fundamentally sound.
Agreed.
Stylistically, I feel, especially after the punishment that Yair put on him, kick heavy. Man, even like a Giga Chikadze who kicks a lot too. You know, those are dangerous fights for a guy like Emmett.
Do you ever
primarily
feel
boxes.
like some fights will carry over for you into the next fight? My question would be like, the Cater Emmett fight was a fucking war.
Yeah.
And then you throw him right back in with Yair. Is there any like kind of, I don't know, carryover, I guess? Like, would you think?
In terms of damage?
Yeah, damage. I mean,
100%.
Your body, you're like, fuck, and then you're going back into
100%.
another one. And, you know, not saying they're forcing him into it, but I mean, you know, he had that knee injury, so he's out for a while. I think it was Dan he fought. He fought Ige right after the leg injury, you know, and that was another close fight. You know, he fought Dan, and it was a decision that, you know, it was close.
Could have gone either way.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dan could have done more in round 3. I think that there was no means of robbery, but it was a close fight. And then the Cater fight again, equally as close. And then boom, you're right back in with Yair right after that. I wonder if a little bit of that carryover of damage is affecting them. You know,
I think is 100% factual, especially when they're main event fights, 5-round fights,
5-round wars.
People
bro.
think that, like even my fight with Sayudo, oh, you look fine. There's nothing wrong with your face, so you're fine.
It's
like,
not about the. It's not.
Bro,
it's not the 25 minutes though. You know, you got to think like you did 8 weeks of wear and tear in
10
the room.
for me.
Right, but I mean, no one ever gets to see the actual work that gets put in prior to you getting in the fucking cage. That's the thing for me as a coach is when I get to see all that stuff. I know what. Hey, bro, I can't hit pads today. I can't do this practice today. This is banged up. I'm going to see this doctor. and then we just fucking duct tape you and throw you in the cage, and that's the finished product, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's been times where even with us hitting pads and I kick the pad, and I'm like, dude, I can't kick.
Yeah, not today.
Literally the first kick, and I'm like, yeah, no, that hurts. That hurts. You know, so people don't think that you're banged up, and you need all your weapons, you need all your tools, especially at this level, man. We're not fighting entry-level fights. We're fighting for the highest stakes, winner moves on, and hopefully achieving the ultimate goal, which is UFC gold, man.
Right.
And that's the name of the game. You win that, your fortunes come true, opportunities come true, and that's what it's all about, man. We're prize fighters.
Yep.
We fight for the prize.
And the bag is the pay-per-view buys, right?
That's it.
That's the bag. I mean, when you make it to that level,
And hopefully it's a good card.
right? Exactly, exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
Gotta put that out there.
let's be honest, man. When it comes down to the business side of things, you know, you were talking today with Jamal Hill. It's like, you know, do you sacrifice excitement over winning
Yeah.
at times? And like you watch Izzy fight Yoel Romero, might have been the most exciting fight, but I understand what Izzy was doing. It's like, dude, I'm holding on to my bag. I'm trying to get paid. I'm trying to keep this fucking belt.
That's it.
Right?
What was the next one? Pantoja versus Moreno 2. This is technically the third fight because they fought twice. One on the show,
Ultimate Fighter, yeah.
and then one after that. But they didn't count the exhibition fight, which was the Ultimate Fighter.
And he choked him out, or he beat him? Pantoja beat him, right?
Pantoja won both times. I can't remember if it was a submission, but I know he won both times. So this is technically part 2, even though it was really 3. But I'm very, very excited for this fight because I feel like the evolution of Moreno from getting cut, coming back to the UFC, and the run that he's been on has just been insane. Inspirational, man. It really has been. And for me, I think his grappling has improved. I think he's trusting his boxing, distance management. And I think that's, and I, you know, it's weird for me because I see these guys. This is awkward for me to say, but I feel like when you become the champ, everybody kind of wants to say hello to you or be your friend. And even though you don't even know who the hell they are, but they come up to you at the PI, especially me and Jake and I always talk about this. I'm like, yo, this is the biggest high school club ever.
Yeah.
This is a bunch of drama all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So these guys come up to me and like I see these guys and I'm talking to them, but I'm like, I feel so awkward. I'm like, dude, I train with this guy, but here you are talking to me and it feels weird because I feel like I'm misleading my loyalty to the guys that I train with and the guys that, you know, I fuck with all the time. So it gets a little bit awkward. And just going into this one, like I like Pantoja. I love his style. Throws hard, fights with big heart, takes you down. He'll take you back in a heartbeat and do the most slickest submissions and submit you. And he's fighting a guy that I really, really like, one of the nicest guys in the world, Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, it's hard not to cheer for that dude, man.
It's like, how am I supposed to go against Brandon? How am I supposed to pick against
he
Brandon?
plays with Legos.
Yeah,
like, how do you
like
like
what?
the guy? Yeah,
He
you know?
plays with Legos.
Yeah, man. And I'll tell you, I think with Capetillo, his boxing has just gotten so much crisper and clean. And it's a very interesting fight. And I wonder how that kind of plays in to the mental factor. Like I've lost to this guy twice already. You know, is it that like Izzy Pereira kind of like, you know what, dude, I'm gonna dial in. I'm gonna smoke this cat. You know, so I think it's an interesting fight, man. It's very hard to pick. I've kind of gone back and forth on that, but man, I still kind of lean towards the champ. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, I'm pulling for the champ in this one, but I would not be surprised if Pantoja were to somehow get on his back, dude,
and nullify and get it.
I think if he were to get on his back, like I hope Brandon is working like sequences or have, because obviously the fight's right this week. I do hope that he has put in the time to address those sequences where if he does get on his back, making sure we're going 2-on-1, protecting the choking hand from going around the neck, making sure we're getting our back and shoulders to the mat, trying to face our opponent, look him in the face, look to shrimp, either look for a leg lock, exit, or just a hip bump and get to a half guard position where you can escape. Because if you let a guy like Pantoja settle in, body triangle, that fight's as good as over.
And no complacency there.
Can't hang out.
Yeah, just can't hang out there. Can't look up at the clock. You know what I mean? Like exactly what you said. It's time
chin
to go.
down.
Chin down, and we gotta go. Like you are absolutely playing with fire at that moment, right? Like you gotta go.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good fight. I'm very much looking forward to that one. For me, I mean, Volkanovski and that one's a good one. I don't want to say that's my main event, but it's just a good fight. I guess they're all good fights, man. They really are. No. I don't want to say that's my main event because they're all such good fights, especially with 45 being a fight that I could potentially be moving up to and fighting one of those guys.
Right.
So, I don't know.
How do you feel you match up with Volk?
I'm not boxing with that motherfucker. That guy can box.
Yeah, for sure.
I call that straight up. When he watched the fight with Henry and I, he was doing his watch party. He was like, both these guys are calling me out. He's like, don't call me out after this. And I was like, dude, cheers, man. You're right. Like, I'm not going to call you out after that type of performance. Like, but at the same time, it's that high level of a chess match between Henry and I, where it's like, that's why I felt like we looked like that. Where I do feel if we were to have fought him with those training camps going into that fight with Volk, I think he would have been pleasantly surprised with how much better we were than he thinks. And the thing about Henry, he's so low to the ground. It's so hard to get underneath him. But Volkanovski is more of a striker than he's a grappler. I think that's the difference. And I think the grappling that he experienced with Makhachev is very different from the grappling that I bring to the table, where Volk didn't really have to worry about the armbar attacks from off of Islam's back takes, where I would be more comfortable going for a key lock and throwing my leg over and looking for an armbar, looking for a triangle from off of my back.
Yep.
That's just more how much more comfortable I am with my BJJ game, transitioning into those attacks, where Makhachev was more comfortable hanging out in the back and getting punched in the face a couple times and threatening with chokes, but it's just nothing really close to looking like, oh, you might get it. There was no point where I was like, oh, he might actually get this. So I think with that being said, I think it would be tricky for Volk to get inside and to actually land too many clean strikes. And I think my kicking would be very difficult for him to deal with. Even if he were to catch it, I would invite him to take me to the ground.
I hope you catch the kick, right?
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, exactly. Was there anything that surprised you about Cejudo? Like, we never really broke down Cejudo, you and me.
The anything that surprised me about Henry was his ability to adjust in the middle of the fight.
Like good or bad, or like he kept adjusting?
He kept adjusting.
Yeah.
And I even told him after the fight when he came up to me, I was like, dude, I was making adjustments to your adjustments, and you were making adjustments to my adjustments to your adjustments.
Yeah.
And then you would readjust again, and then it was just like this chess match.
Yeah.
And I told Ray when we were watching the tape back, and I was like, dude, I felt like I was throwing my jab, and I knew I had the reach advantage, a sizable reach advantage, but he was doing such a good job of almost crashing it, where I felt like I was just out of place. A couple of times I popped him, a couple of good times, like, yeah, that landed hard.
Right.
But there was times where I was throwing and I was stepping, and I felt like I was stepping too high and too heavy, where I was overcommitting, where he was able to get inside, and then I was kind of like in a position of bad defense.
Almost kind of went Greco.
Yeah, where he was able to close the distance. And even though he didn't really land anything off of that, I felt like the danger zone was very exposed, where I don't want to have that happen too much, because against a guy like Volkanovski, if he hits you with a right hand, you could be sitting on your ass and staring up at the lights.
For sure. His stance was surprising to me.
Yeah. So I had Merab imitating him and JP, but my personal opinion, I don't think it was that great of a look. Right. And obviously we didn't see much tape from him since his Dominic Cruz fight.
Exactly. It's
really hard to see like what he was going to do. Like Merab was more like doing this and like kind of, I'm like, but he wasn't really like that.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So it was very different. Like I could see the attacks coming when Merab would do this, and then he'll throw. Like I could see it.
That was the first thing
Henry
I noticed
was like
when he came out. Yeah, it was very different stance.
Yeah, and his feints were money. Like they were like really good. He sold it well, and it kind of kept me guessing on when I should attack, because he would feint, and then he would do the same thing with that little hip twitch, and you got to respect it. So
yeah. Knowing both of you guys, like when I think I was doing the Jackson podcast, and they're like, what do you think about this matchup? And I was like, dude, these two, I'm telling you, are two of the smartest fighters I've ever been around. Yeah. Right? The way you guys break down film, the way you guys see adjustments and everything else. That was my biggest thing. I was like, this is going to be an ultimate chess match between you two.
Yeah. And it was, man. It really was. So I was happy about that, in the sense of having the opportunity to fight a guy, I guess essentially what people would say, I guess, my equal, in the sense of just wit and approach to the game, even though he could be a little bit odd with the way that he talks and certain things. But the guy is, I give credit where it's due. The guy's a smart guy.
Right.
He didn't get there by accident.
If you just take away any of the outside stuff from a lot of these fighters, if you just watch the way people fight, right, and you don't plug on an interview or listen or this or that, bro, there's a lot of people in this game that you just flat out respect for the way that they fight.
100%.
If I don't listen to one thing Kobe Covington says and just watch the way, I mean, I've known
He's a
Kobe
dog.
since he's a dog. I've known Kobe since he was at Oregon State, right? Like he's a great dude if you meet him one-on-one.
Yeah.
You know, his antics aren't for me. Sean's antics aren't for me. There's a lot of people, but when you put them in the cage and you watch what they do as a mixed martial artist, it's hard not to respect, right?
Yeah.
You're like, you know, and then that's the thing with Henry. Like, yeah, he might have the cringe and this and that, but dude, how do you not respect his mindset for the game? You know, we sent Dan Ige out there. He spent like 2 weeks with Henry and came back with some really, really good shit.
Yeah.
You know, and he's one of those guys. He wants to help people. He wants to see people grow, you know. That was the one thing that I've noticed about you two that had that commonality was, dude, like when you show up to Extreme Couture, the first thing you did was help people in the room and show them things and things like that, you know.
Yeah. I like Henry, but it does get, like, I do respect him. The only thing I didn't respect was him shooting both of us in the foot of, like, and I'm not saying we're using this as a negotiation tactic, but I think what he did was disingenuous in the sense of, oh, if that little pussy doesn't want to fight, I'll take the fight. And then you almost like try to sucker me into taking something that I know I don't want to do because
Right.
I would rather take the time because it's smarter.
Right.
Take the time, heal up, and get ready for, if they fight for the interim, I don't give a shit, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever I fight, guess what? Oh, it's the biggest payday because it's showing them. Dude, I don't care.
Right.
Like, I'm going to get paid regardless. It's maybe I get extra couple dollars because I'm fighting Sean. Okay,
Was
big
he
one.
on the same card as us in Boston?
Yes.
So he one of
And then he
the
pulled out.
alternate.
Yeah.
So
He was
essentially
asking
they
for
were-
that.
Copy.
And then he pulled out.
That makes sense.
So you try to do something very disingenuous and make it look like I'm being a bitch because I'm saying I need more time to heal up. When meanwhile, you need more time to heal up too. We were in the same fight.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way you're telling me you're not banged up right now, dude. I know you're banged up.
Interesting.
But whatever.
Interesting. So will Cheeto be the alternate then, if that's the case?
I don't know what they're going to do at this point. So
Yeah, the one thing that kind of stands out to me, and you being the wrestler that you are, is why do a lot of guys that have the Olympic or high-level NCAA wrestling always feel that their wrestling's better in the MMA space?
it's so stupid. It's so ignorant. It's
crazy, right?
It's a very ignorant thing.
It's much different, you know?
Even when I grappled against RBY and people were saying, I had people tell me I was legitimately going to get teched in like the first 1 or 2 minutes of the match. I was like, do you guys think I All-American at like some high school? Like, no, dude. I All-American in college. I know how to wrestle. I still wrestle till this day. And yeah, whatever.
But the difference between collegiate, freestyle, and MMA wrestling with the use of the cage,
Yeah.
right? Like, bro, when Jeremy fought Aaron Pico, there's no way Jeremy's going to take down Pico. I'm like, guys, have you seen fucking Jeremy wrestle off the cage? It's much different.
Very different.
Very different, man. And like, you know, obviously there was an injury to Pico after the takedown, but we were fully confident that Jeremy's going to be able to out wrestle Pico in that space, right, on the cage.
It's just a very different art, and people need to stop making it seem like because you're a BJJ black belt, you're gonna come in and just do all these things and submit everybody. It doesn't work like that. It's a fight.
Right.
It's a fight.
How about going back to this last card with was it Brito, and guys that are just going leg lock heavy, ground and pound versus jiu-jitsu or leg locks. It's like, come on, man, let it go.
Yeah, he had the knee bar for a split second, and then Brito looked up at the crowd and he said, "Yo, yeah, I want to see a dead body real quick.
Check
Watch
this out.
Boom.
Check this out.
Boom. It was like, oh, you can hear it because it's the apex. You can
yeah.
hear it. And I'm not trying to be like disrespectful to I don't know what the kid's name is.
Weston, I believe.
Weston. Okay.
Yeah.
Supposedly a really good BJJ guy, but dude, have you not seen this movie a couple of times already? I understand taking your chance, but dude,
bro.
after you got punched with the first one, you should have abort.
Mayday.
Yeah.
Roman would get so mad at me, Delize, because, you know, Roman's a leg lock guy. His
Very good leg
jiu-jitsu
lock guy.
is very, very good. And I get on him so much because I'm like, dude, you have 1 or 2 attempts, and that's it. And I want to see a transition to get back up. No, coach, I submit everybody. I'm like, yeah, you do in the room.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to a guy in a fight and he's fighting for half his fucking purse, there's a good chance he's going to let his leg go. And that happened in the Allen fight. You know, the Allen's leg blew up.
That and the Trevin Giles fight.
Trevin Giles, another one. Like, we were playing
And that was a guy he
scissor game.
should have beaten.
He should have beat. And, granted, okay, kind of a side note, when a fight starts, I always look at who's judging, right? Adelaide Bird was one of the judges. Now, this is no knock on Adelaide. I just know what Adelaide looks for. Adelaide's not going to be all about the grappling transitions. Not saying she doesn't know them or understand them, but she's going to favor more of the striking. Trevin was lighting us up with a jab, right? Adelaide's going to favor that. So going after the second, going into the third round, I'm like, dude, you got to stop with the 50-50 leg transitions, right? You can beat this guy on the feet if you actually believe in it, because I know which way this judge is going to actually go in the fight, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Ooh. Robert Whittaker versus, what's his first name again?
Dricus
Du Plessis. The real African sensation. Straight from Africa.
This Chris's tweet.
Something about he's more African than me. Yeah.
No, Chris, took a picture with him on Twitter. Oh, bro, it's comedy. You got to pull it up.
I saw, I got on one of his threads because Chris just goes off on Twitter all the time.
Oh, bro.
But this is a really interesting fight because, and I see Du Plessis all the time at the PI whenever he comes out here early for his fights.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. He always says hello. And this is where it gets awkward for me because I'm like, I like Robert Whittaker.
For sure, yeah.
I'm going for Robert Whittaker.
Right.
But he's such a nice guy. They're both really nice guys. Mm-hmm. I'm like, don't make me like you.
Yeah. And he's handsome as fuck, too.
Yeah, he's a handsome dude.
Handsome motherfucker.
But the one thing that stands out to me with Robert Whittaker and Du Plessis is that Du Plessis always seems to get tired. If you get just as tired as Derek Brunson, that is an issue.
Yeah.
And for me, that makes me very, very concerned going into this with a guy like Robert Whittaker because I don't think Robert's going to get tired.
Yeah. I think this fight is interesting in the fact that it's not a 5-rounder.
Yes.
It's a 3-rounder. That I think that favors Dricus in the fact that, like, dude, you don't have that 4 and 5 you have to worry about. But I agree with you in the fact of, dude, like, aesthetics and body language just looks awful when he gets tired, right?
But he wins.
But he fucking wins, bro. Wins. And like, dude, even Brad's like, the guy's a goddamn booger. Like, he's like, Brad beats him in the first round, and then Dricus comes back and wins 2 and 3 because it's just like this zombie coming at you the whole time.
Yeah.
Weird angles and like everything that he did, we knew he was going to do. And credit to him, man. Like, he landed a big knee against Brad, shattered Brad's nose in round 2, and the fight went downhill from there. So you got to give credit where credit's due. But to me, the well-polished machine and the guy that, like, is just I lost to both of them with Brad. Flew all the way to Adelaide, Australia for Whittaker to knock Brad out in like 30 seconds. That sucked. But to me, Whittaker is the talent in that division.
He's the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know Du Plessis was talking about something that was going wrong with him health-wise, why he was getting tired like that. I don't know exactly
his
what
nose,
it was.
Right? I think he had his nose
He
fixed
said
or something.
I used to read into all these MMA blogs when guys would talk about it, MMA Junkie, MMA Fighting, MMA Mania, Bloody Up. I would go on these websites religiously just to get updates. Now I just don't have the time.
Bro, I'm with you. Like, I don't know how people keep up with this shit.
I can't.
Yeah.
I literally can't. Not the way I'm training these days, and obviously doing the podcast and doing all these other things. It's too time consuming to just be all MMA and not have time to do anything else with your life. So with that being said, like I saw him post something where he was talking about it. You know, they do the quotes and they cut it out. They don't do the whole segment. They just give you like the clickbait type of stuff.
Exactly.
So I saw something like that. I'm like, hey, if there's something to that and he's saying that it's like better or fixed now, that's kind of scary to see what that's going to look like. Because he's very physically imposing.
Yeah, no, exactly. Here's my thought on this fight. I would venture to guess that Rob will eventually mix a fit in and take him down.
Yeah.
Only just to tax that cardio a little bit. And Rob's wrestling's very good, right? Like, Rob can wrestle now. So I think there's some paths to victory from Rob other than the striking. But if there's a hole in the game, and that's what you and I are kind of saying has been the cardio, why not test it right away and see?
100%. I'm going right after that gas tank and see if I can plug a hole at the bottom and just drain it.
Yeah, let's see what's up.
But that's what I would do. But we'll see, because if, like I said, if he's saying that it's better now, it's going to make things very, very interesting. If he beats Rob, he's coming for Izzy's belt next.
Yeah.
And not saying like he's coming for his belt and he's going to win. I'm just saying he's coming for his belt. Like, he's the next guy in line. You can't deny him. at that point.
And it'd be interesting to
With
see
him and Sean.
Yeah, I mean, who does he decide on, right? Like if Dricus wins, or even Rob, I think Rob and him, because the timeline. Look, Sean just fought yesterday. There's Rob, who, if you go back and watch Izzy and Rob's second fight, I mean, dude, Rob did a lot of really good things there, and arguably even won that fight.
Yeah, and I hate being that guy that's like, yeah, I think the other guy might have won. I've done that with like John Jones. I've done that with Volk and Islam, a couple other fights. But you can make the argument if you're not being biased. I think you can make the argument. I'm not saying it's true because it's a fight. It depends on what you score more, what you favor more. It's a fight. So
my point is that Rob narrowed the gap.
He very much did.
He made the fight a lot closer than obviously the first encounter.
The first fight was stupid.
The first fight was bad, right?
If that was all emotion.
Yeah, I think
in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And I always give Rob shit because he talks shit about me going into the Yan fight, the rematch, and then when I beat him, he was like, I called him out on what he was saying, and then he goes, looks like I have egg on my face. So he was a good sport about it, but I still always break his balls about it.
Yeah, dude, and he's a very likable guy too.
Very
right?
nice guy.
Yeah, very nice guy.
But I think he definitely narrowed the gap, and it's gonna be interesting to see how he approaches this one with a very physically imposing guy like Plessis. He's not very good at any particular thing. When I watch him fight, I'm like, I don't know what this guy is good at, but one thing I can say is he's good at winning. He wins. He finds a way to win.
Dricus. Yeah, you can't deny that, man. You can't deny that. With that being said, I think Rob by destruction. I really do, man.
I'm leaning towards Rob by decision, if I'm being honest. Because 3 rounds, I don't know if it's enough time for him to drain Plessis' gas tank to get him out of there, unless he lands one of those patented same side head kicks that he lands on everybody.
Lead side too, bro.
He does it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Beautiful. So I gotta tell you this, man. I'm in Kansas City. Whittaker is fighting Jacare, and I'm in the locker room watching him warm up. And I was actually in the back room, or we had this back room. We had the same workout rooms, right? All fight week. So you watch, that's a lot. You learn shit. You're around different coaches and see different things. But I'm watching Rob land this like same side head kick over and over and over. And I never forget this, watching him warm up in the back. And I just grabbed my phone. This is back when you used to be able to bet. And I was like, oh, Whittaker's like plus 300. Let me throw a couple bucks on old Robert Whittaker, old Bobby Knuckles. And then boom, catches him. Jacare bad, bro. And this is when Jacare was on that run.
Yeah.
He was doing good. So, yeah, I mean, it's funny how you'll see things in the back. You're like, oh, hold on one second.
Yeah.
That's happened a few times, man. I had Drew Dober in the back one time. I never even knew who Drew Dober was. Watching him warm up, I'm like, slide a little bet in on this one.
Yeah.
Irene Aldana, had Aldana in there one time. I'm like, ooh, this girl's going to kill somebody.
Yeah, she didn't kill the last one like
that. Well, sometimes. All right, who else we got?
Jalen Turner, Dan Hooker.
Ooh, respect to Hooker, but Jalen, I think I just think Hooker's chin has been gone for a couple fights now, and I know Jalen's gonna find it. He's gonna touch him a couple times. I'm not saying it's like his one shot, he's done,
right?
But he touches him one time, I guarantee he's gonna go.
Yeah, man, I met Jalen not too long ago over at Ruka.
Huge.
Holy shit, bro. How do you make 55?
I don't know.
He's a monster.
Long ass arms.
Yeah,
go gadget.
He reminds me of the kid I got, Zellhuber, Daniel.
Yeah.
Big, bro. Like he's a big kid. Another one where I felt like the Felder fight, although Hooker won the Felder fight, and then jumps right into the Poirier fight, like 2 back-to-back wars, man. I wonder if those
carryover, man.
The carryover, right? Like, and I'm a huge Dan Hooker fan. I love what this guy does. I love his style.
Shit, he beat our teammate, man. He beat L.I. Quinta.
Yeah.
And I was pretty upset about that because the one time he actually fought technical, he beat our guy.
Right.
And it was funny because Al called him out on it. He's like, he's not technical enough to beat me. He's just a brawler kind of thing, just a tough guy. And then Hooker took that kind of personally, and he even said it. He was like, he thinks I'm not technical. I'm going to show him. And he kicked the crap out of Al's calf just over and over, and to the point where it just got bad really quick.
He did a good job against that with Felder as well. And to the game plan side of things, I think how do you take away a big, tall, long, rangy guy? You have to attack that lead leg, man.
You do.
I do. So I definitely think that Dan's going to come out and try to tax that lead leg, minimize the movement, use that lead leg to be able to try to close some distance on him, especially through the calf, right? When you start getting the reaction of the leg lifting, that's your opportunity to close a little distance and get inside the phone booth. So
I agree. And I do think even with like his fight with Chandler exploited him because he would try to sit back with that long, lazy jab and almost like sit and wait on that right hand.
Mm-hmm.
But Chandler just hit him with a nice feint, pushed him backwards, and it's like he was trying to catch the time in and just put one right on his chin and dropped him.
He's hit him with the step through, the barrel,
Yeah, just
right?
boom,
Use
boom.
the right cross to hit a step over left hook.
Yeah.
And essentially end up in southpaw. But what Chandler did so great in that particular fight was he got Hooker back to the barrier and knew his exit, even like Jamal was talking about today, was when you have that barrier, man, like Randy Couture, the first thing he ever talked to me about was the cage is its own art. Learning how to cut the cage off becomes its own art, and using the corner post as your choke points to funnel guys into traps.
Yeah.
And if you remember, that's exactly where Chandler had Hooker kind of scraping the cage, knew where his exit was, and through that ironically, Dan Hooker knocked out James Vick with that same punch combination.
When he came, boom, boom.
And stepped through with that left step through over.
Crazy, man. It's a
crazy
crazy
how the game
game
is, right?
And that was a taller guy, rangier guy. He did that to him.
Yep.
And now you got a taller, rangier guy. And I'm not saying Dan Hooker. It's almost like Marlon Moraes. Like Marlon Moraes still has the skill, but if you don't have the durability to keep up with the punishment that's being thrown your way, it's not much of a fight.
That's my biggest thing is the wear and tear that you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? I think Dan is probably the better technical fighter, all around fighter.
Maybe.
Maybe, right?
We haven't seen too much of Jalen to go, but we've seen a lot of Hooker. So I don't want to be unfair to Jalen.
No, absolutely.
Like, because I know Jalen.
Right. But I mean, like, dude, and dude, he's a talent as well.
Yes.
But when you have a physical attribute that Jalen has, I mean, like, dude, utilizing your length and trying to get inside on this guy is going to be a tall task for Dan. Like, Jalen can just win this fight off his jab alone and just staying long, right?
Yeah.
So this is a very interesting fight. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what the odds are saying. Again, like, Dan's very well coached. I think he has a very good skill set. It'll be interesting to see what he tries to do. Shit, maybe even try to take Jalen down, take a page off of
Gamrot and Matt Frivola.
Exactly.
And Hooker stunned me a little bit. He came down to Syndicate. I asked him to train with him, and then he was like, "No, I got my guy already." And the guy he was going with was a guy that he goes with literally all the time. I was like, "Hey, fine, okay."
Bro, he came over to Extreme and looked around the room, and hey, look, it's about environment, right?
Yeah.
But I tell him, I said, look, man, I think Max Roshkoff is your best bet as far as what you're looking for when you're fighting Islam. And he kind of fucking, shunned it, and like, all right, I think
Max grappling is next level.
Next level, bro.
Especially with his takedowns, his top pressure. You can say whatever you want about his fights in the past and like, oh, he quit, blah, blah, blah. The guy, he's good at what he's good at. And like, when I say good, he's damn good at it.
Yeah.
Like, not for nothing, what he's done to some of the bigger guys at 70 and 185. And I don't want to say any names, put nobody on the spot, but Max is good.
I'll put him on the spot. I've seen Max take Francis down and hold him down and keep him held down. And that's my, they're both, Max is like my little brother.
Yeah.
But exactly, like what
He's
Max
good,
is capable of doing, dude, he's good. Especially when he gets to your back, the routes he has and everything else, man. So it was interesting because, I think it was Frank Hickman came in and I was like, hey, if you're looking for somebody for Islam, it's Max. It's Roshkoff, dude. And Max can give him a good look. And they're like, all right, good luck.
It's funny because it was Frank that he was working with.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't mind Frank. I know Frank is just a little bit Team Piotr, so he was kind of like,
oh, for sure,
a little snobbish to me a little bit, kind of like turning his nose up. And I get it. It's your guy. You've been training with him, but I'm like, damn, dude, I thought we were both Americans.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I had to put that out there.
Speaking of grapplers, Bo Nickel versus Trayshawn Gore is the opening.
Oh. Trayshawn Gore.
Bo is a minus 1250.
Oh, that's it?
Bo's a minus 1250?
Yeah. 100, you got to bet 1,250.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
I ain't touching it. How about Bo inside the distance? That's probably a better.
That's probably a better.
It doesn't say right.
Yeah, you got to try to get him inside the distance or by submission, I bet. That'd probably be a little bit of better line if you're on the Bo Nickel side of things, right?
Bo's good, man. But he's a little bit smaller for the weight.
You think so?
When he fought, who's the last guy he fought?
Jamie Pickett.
You could see the size difference when they're in there. When he got that first initial takedown, shooting for the first initial takedown, it got stuffed. And I was like, dude, when he gets to the upper echelons of this division, when guys start stuffing the takedowns, he's going to have some tough times. So he's got to be mentally sound where it's like, dude, if I don't get this, it's okay. I can shoot 2, 3, 10 more times.
Yeah.
And if I get the takedown, it's going to be a problem for them. And I just hope he keeps his head on straight with that and keep on with his progression because, man,
sky's the limit.
the sky's the limit for a guy like that. But
I think he's at the right camp. I think when you watch his striking blending into his wrestling, like he hits that high-low jab, that overhand out of the southpaw, tries to run the knee tap, tries to connect off of his strikes, right? It's not just blind shots. Mike Brown, I think, is in his corner. He's very well coached. I don't know how much he works with Johnny Eblen, but in my opinion, Johnny Eblen's one of the best 85ers in the world right now. So having that kind of like that pedigree, if you will, at American Top Team, I think it serves him well.
who's Evelyn?
Johnny Eblen, Bellator champ, 185. I've worked with Johnny a few times, man. That's the thing with Bellator. It's like there's so much very good talent that the world doesn't know about.
Yeah, because I'm like, who is that?
Bro, Johnny Eblen is a fucking beast. So
Johnny
came out and trained with us, and him and Sean hit it off. Like Sean loves this guy. Johnny loves this guy. They've been great training partners together. We sent Sean out there to be Musasi when Eblen fought Musasi for the title and gave him a great look. So Johnny's been an amazing kind of ambassador, guy that comes in and trains with us every once in a while. But American Top Team guy is my point. So Bo Nickel has good talent in that gym to learn from and build off of.
And that's the most important, getting those looks. And if you're saying that, then I believe it that he's gonna keep improving.
They're building him the right way, right?
Yeah.
They're giving him good opponents.
Gore has a great story, but I feel almost because he lost the Ultimate Fighter. I'm pretty sure he lost, right? I think he lost the finals.
Yeah, to Brian. Did he lose to Brian Battle?
Brian Battle, I think so. It was a close fight.
Was it?
I know there was a fight he lost. If I'm not mistaken, there's a fight that he lost. Jake, can you verify?
Who's the kid from Philly? Andre, right?
Prochaska.
He's good too, bro. Holy shit.
Is that who he fought?
I think he fought him at some point, maybe on the show.
Okay.
But he's good too.
Yeah, so my thing was he had a crazy story with him and his wife or fiance, and I think because he came up short on the show, it's almost like if you don't do what you're expected to do, the UFC now finds you expendable. So now he's getting fed.
Isn't it crazy how that works, bro?
He's getting fed. The prospect is now getting fed to another prospect in Bo Nickel. And we obviously know who is expected to win for the UFC's plan in terms of developmental growth. But not saying the UFC is like, oh, there's no way Tresean could win, because if Tresean wins, it puts him in a different stratosphere.
Correct.
But
the
UFC is expecting this one to be a good stepping stone for Bo Nickel to continue his trend upwards.
Yeah, I think they're giving the right opponents and slowly raising the test level of them, right? Like Jamie Pickett's no slouch. Hey, we're gonna raise the limit every once in a while with this guy, and let's see how he does. And I'm interested to see too. Hey, a couple takedowns get stuffed. What's next, right? Like you're kind of stuck on a desert island with your striking now. Let's see how that goes.
That's what I'm always interested in seeing, and I don't want to make it seem like I want to see the favorite get hurt or taxed, but it's always nice to see a test. Like when you
adversity,
see a
right? Hit
come in,
adversity.
Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah.
And I've been in that boat before where people are like, well, what's he gonna do when he can't wrestle someone to death? I'm like, all right, well, now we get to see what I can do over the years. So now we get to see what Bo Nickel can do if Tresean is good enough to stop a couple of his takedowns and keep it standing. But
where does it go from there?
I think this might be a first rounder.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I mean, if you're betting on it and you don't want to go Bo Nickel
in the distance,
play inside the distance or play by submission even, right? Like he's showing a good submission game as well.
Yeah, and even like speaking on that, it's like that kid RBY. It's gonna be interesting to see how he does. Because talking to Dominic Cruz, he was saying that he thinks
is he making the transition over?
He said he eventually will. Is
Okay.
what Don was telling me. We'll see.
He was in the gym a couple weeks ago.
Okay,
Yeah,
he told me he's
train.
going to be out here to the 9th, so I'm trying to get
Nice.
him out to come down and work out maybe tomorrow and see
Good.
if he wants to jump in and roll a little bit, and even to just drill to kind of give him some pointers, because there was a couple things I saw when he was grappling Alex Perez that was like glaringly green, which is normal. Like, dude, you're just starting. Like, you can't expect to come out and be a 3-time national finalist, 4-time All-American kind of guy, like right out of the gate. It takes time. It's a different sport. So
Isn't it funny, like, if you ever been asked a question, like, I do as a lot as a coach, what would you want background-wise to build off of as a coach? And it's easy. It's wrestling, bro. It's easy.
All day long.
All day long, right? Like, I mean, there's nothing better, because I think it's the one, like, equalizer in the game. Not only that, it's like these guys know how to cut weight. These guys love the grind. And if we need to lean on it, our fastball is always going to be the takedowns.
And the mental toughness.
Right, man. Yeah, it's crazy, huh?
It's very, very different. And I think a lot of people overlook that. But it's not the most fun. But, yeah, it gets the job done.
Yeah.
It pays the bills.
Yep.
There's the Robbie Lawler fight.
Whoa, Robbie's fighting. Who's he fighting?
Robbie's
Ruthless.
fighting- I'm pulling it up. Field load.
Ruthless Robbie Lawler. Taking on, fumble in the bag.
Come on, Jake. You got one job.
You got
to do,
one
bro.
job over
You
there.
over here eating Hawaiian food.
Eating Ohana.
Right?
We got icon meals upstairs.
I actually saw this today.
That would have been good to know.
Come on, Jake. If I pull this up before you, dude,
That's just
Robbie
sad.
Lawler is about to fight Nico Price.
I knew that was who it was.
Ooh.
Banger.
You know what it is? I feel like lately Robbie hasn't been as active in the sense of activity. And I think that's been hurting him in these past few fights. You saw glimpses of it when he fought Nick Diaz,
Yeah.
where he would open up and throw some combinations. But
Mm-hmm.
the old vintage Robbie Lawler would just go, I'm going for you.
Ham.
I'm going for it. And we're throwing like this caution into the wind. But technical still, but still throwing caution to the wind, where I feel like of late he's kind of been more defensive, and we'll see how this one goes. I think Nico Price is a good enough matchup where he's not the most dangerous guy, but he's unorthodox. He does tricky stuff, and this could be a great opportunity for both guys to kind of showcase their skills against guys of equal talent.
Yeah, I think it's got one of those like fight of the night
Yeah.
brawls written all over it, because there's an entertainment value, I think, when you put Nico Price in a fight.
Yeah.
Like, the dude is just down to throw.
He's got like 6 kids, he told me.
Does he really?
I think he said something crazy like that.
Super nice guy, bro.
I was like,
he's super
what?
nice guy. How do you have 6 kids?
I could,
How do
can
you have
you
the
fact
time?
check that? But I know for sure 4. I know for
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
he said 4. If I'm not mistaken, I heard the commentators talking about it and saying how many kids he had.
It's like Kai Kamaka.
Yo, dude, he's got a lot of kids.
And another one on the way.
Oh my, really? Was that 5?
Throwing his wife
It's
and has
so
6
many.
children.
6. So I was right. Jeez,
Yeah.
bro. That's
Him
a
and
lot
Kai
of kids.
Kamaka should just start a cult.
Start a football team.
Start a football team.
Nuts.
He's coming off. He's on a 1-3 streak. One win, 3 losses.
What was his last one? A win?
He lost to Phil Rowe.
Yeah.
His last one.
And
Okay.
then Robbie lost to Barberini. And I think Robbie's only win in the last like 5 or 6 has been Nick.
Diaz, yeah.
Yeah, so he's been on a skid himself. But
Yeah.
Robbie's allowed to have a skid. That dude's a fucking G, dude.
He was in the UFC at 18 years old.
OG, bro.
Oh my goodness.
You know what's funny is, like, dude, one of my best friends and good buddy, like one of our, he's an OG, is John Alessio. And
I see him all the time at the Apex.
right? I forgot Alessio is still to this day the youngest fighter to ever fight for a title. 20 years old. He fought Pat Miletich, bro.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, but I mean, like, I knew John fought Miletich. I didn't know at what age.
Wasn't Alessio the one that wore the Speedo?
No, that was Dennis Hallman.
Oh, okay,
That was
okay.
Hallman, bro.
Okay,
That's
okay.
psycho.
I always confuse those guys.
Yeah.
It was like this pink Speedo thong thing. I was like,
Yeah.
bro. Dana was like, never again.
Never again, bro. Dennis Davis has some funny stories about Hallman. I guess back in the Pacific Northwest, he would
Yeah.
enter in these like amateur bouts, like anybody can fight, but he'd wear like a Nacho Libre mask, and no one knew. Like, he was a pro fighter at the time.
Yeah.
But he would enter in as this guy, and he had an alias, and go in and just beat the living shit out of all these amateurs. But he couldn't enter in as Dennis Hallman.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
pro fighter. But he'd go in there and enter into this guy and just go and smoke everybody and just leave the event, But everyone knew it was Hallman.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. That's
crazy.
so cold. That's so cold. We got any? We have. Let's do a sleeper fight of the fight card.
Let's see.
So, JDM was about to. He was supposed to.
Yeah,
We're
but
trying to get Chris
have
Curtis.
anybody right
He
now.
announced his opponent.
Yeah.
Josiah Harrell.
Who the heck is that?
7-0.
Is this a new guy, bro?
I think.
Yeah, he's
I
out
don't
of
give a shit, then.
he's
I don't. Give
he's
a
out
shit.
of Matt Brown's gym.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's from Ohio. Well, I'll tell you what. So, side note, we threw our name in the hat for Chris Curtis.
Yeah.
You know, and look, man, like JDM's a fucking monster. Like it's a great fight, but it's fun. And you know, Chris is game.
He just goes forward.
Yeah, man, he's good. He's good. He goes forward. But you know, hey, you guys needed a fight. We threw our name in the hat. Chris said yes. JDM said yes. Our both sides management said yes. Shelby said yes. I don't think the UFC said yes, like Mick or the Brass or whoever else might have said no or turn it down, because you know Chris does have a fight lined up against Fluffy, who's fucking great. That's in September.
I think Mexican Independence Day or something like
exactly that fight. So I don't think they wanted to risk losing Fluffy and Chris, but what a fun fight that would have been, right?
It would have been. You know what's crazy? I always wonder, guys that fight like that and they finish their fights almost all the time in the first round, what type of sparring do you do? What does that look like?
Right.
I would be very curious to just be a fly on the wall and watch what that looks like. Like, how do you train for all your fights to just end in the first round?
Yeah.
I just would like to see, because I know my style. Like, I'm a grinder.
Right.
Pause. But I also know if I could get the guy out of there, I'm going to get the guy out of there.
For sure.
If I get the opportunities that present themselves. Guys like this who strike, I would imagine you have to be beating the crap out of each other to like have that feel of what it feels like to put the pace on somebody. And if you rock somebody, do you like take time and kind of wait for them to recover, or do you just end the sparring session right then and there?
Right.
That's what I don't get.
No, it's an interesting point, man. And like, you know, that was one thing too with you know, with one of my guys, Ty Gorder, coming up through. Ty was 4-0 with all first round knockouts. And I was, you know, although he's knocking dudes out, the question of the unknown to me was always, how does it look when we get into deeper rounds, right?
Yes.
Like that is a worry thing, I think, as a coach. So like even in the amateur ranks, it's okay to keep your amateur status for 5 or 6 fights to try to work out those kinks. So when you do turn pro, you know, if you do get in those deeper rounds, and how does that look? What does the complexion of that look like? So haven't really combed through his record before, JDM. I'd venture to guess he probably gets most of his opponents out of there pretty early. But those are things I wonder, man. Like, how does it look when you get in round 2 and 3? Does that output, that volume stay the same, you know?
And it's an interesting style because he's a blitzkrieg, man. He just goes. He's a marauder. That guy, when he fought Randy Brown, I thought Randy was going to be able to stay long and touch him up. And I saw him a couple times at the PI. I didn't really get to, like, watch his training, but the dude's good, man.
He's good, man.
He's a hammer.
There's a lot of good movement right now in that welterweight division.
Yeah.
Right?
Giving
like,
it some life.
Giving some life. I mean, like,
Shavkat.
Ian Gary doing some good things. Mike Malott, right? Another guy. Like, man, he's another standout.
Yeah.
You know, Sean Brady. I mean, I know he lost his last fight to Bilal, but I mean, dude, Sean Brady's a fucking beast. You know, there's some really, really good guys in that welterweight division kind of making that noise coming up through.
Yeah, Holland, Chiesa. You still got Wonder Boy in the mix.
Yeah. Who's the kid that knocked out Kevin just now?
Renat Fedek.
Well, he came out and trained with us. I think with Dennis or Albert, one of the Russian guys. He was out there with us for about, I think, a month, and dude, he was good.
I thought that fight would have been at least a little bit of grappling exchanges. He just killed Kevin.
Man, I felt bad for Kevin.
I felt really bad. And honestly, Kevin's he's a lightweight, man.
I know, dude.
I know as much as he wants to say he's filling out, like, all respect, I feel he has done his best work at 55. Yeah, the weight cut sucks. You think I like making 135, bro?
Yeah, man.
I know what you feel like. But, dude, your weight class is 55.
And that's a tough thing, man. I worked with Kev for a long time, and he's a personal friend of mine. I texted him yesterday before the fight. Like, love the guy to death. He's a tweener, right? Like
same.
He's a fucking, if 65 was a weight class, he'd be thrive and he would beast there, right? But the best weight cut I ever saw out of Kev, I think, was actually when he fought Al. He hired Tyler Minton, and Tyler came in and did a very good job in managing the weight cut. And, you know, I don't know why. Kev never used him again after that. But, like, dude, I've been a part of those the Edmund Barboza, when he fought Barboza, you know, that weight cut, dude, tough and legit, like, cost him a lot of money because he wasn't able to get his bonus and whatever he was taxed on.
He missed weight for that?
He missed weight, dude, and it was like by 0.4.
But he had a great performance.
And arguably beat Barboza worse than Khabib did, you know? And, I mean, I don't know, man. There's a lot of history there when I think of Kevin because of Robert. It reminds me a lot of Flawless.
Yeah.
And when the first time Kevin came to the gym, I remember Robert going, this kid will be a champion. Like, that's how much Robert felt highly about Kevin. So I'm always going to have a soft spot in my heart for Kev because of that, you know, Flawless background. And, you know, I've been in the wars with Kev before.
Yeah. Once I've had Al get mad at me one time about Kevin Lee because it was awkward because I was on vacation and he called me and I think I posted a picture about Dylan Dennis. And it was weird because Dennis asked me to take a picture with my phone of him and I. And I was on vacation. I was twisted. I posted a picture to my story. And then Al called me up, and we kind of got into it because I guess he thought, like, we kind of have, like, a code. It's, like, us versus everybody. But I was like, dude, I'm only like that when it's time to fight. After the fight, dude, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah,
like, it's no personal. Like, you didn't talk about my mom. You didn't hit my mom. You didn't insult my sister. Like, I don't have anything like that. So we had, like, a heart-to-heart that day. And I didn't know it meant that much to him in that sense. And then I kind of got it. I was like, dude, if I had known that from jump, it would have been a different, like,
for sure,
the way I would have went around navigating through things. So I feel like that made us closer. But it's just so funny because him and Kevin, I feel like they're gonna be arch nemesis for the rest of their lives.
Oh, dude. I mean, and Al's always been great to me, but I can always feel that vibe from Al too. I mean, I think if you corner against a guy or you're
no, he's like that, dude.
He's like, man, fuck this dude.
Yeah.
No, but Al's, I mean, even since then, I think Al's always been great to me because look, dude, for me, it's business. Like I have no problem with you. It's not a personal thing with me, but some guys have to feel like that. Like you're trying to take something away from them. But I go to Kevin's house, and I think it was Khabib, might have been Khabib Connor. Anyways, we just beat Barboza, and we all go to the house to watch the fight, and Kevin is adamant that the next fight be Al Iaquinta. And at that moment, we're ahead of Al in the rankings. It didn't make any sense for him to fight Al. It was a trap fight for him.
He just wanted that one back.
He wanted that one back. He did, bro. And I'm like, I'm trying to talk him off of it. The fight didn't make any sense, and I thought stylistically it was a tough fight. It was a tough fight, man. And, like, you know, we end up being Al, and I'm like, okay, great. We got to wrestle. We got to wrestle a lot, you know?
Same Al.
And first round, Al wins the first round. Kevin takes him down in rounds 2 and 3, takes the back.
It was an insane fight, man. It was a really good fight.
Round 4, Kevin essentially takes off, right? Dewey and I get in the corner in round 5, and Dewey and I are both like, dude, you need this round to win. And Kevin's like, I'm up 3-1. Like, no, you're not. It's 2-2 going into 5, bro. Nope, I'm up 3-1. And I'm like, bro, you're not. And he's like, I don't want to hear anything else. I'm like, all right, motherfucker, good luck. And you saw the rest of the way the fight played out, man. So, you know.
Yeah, Al's a dog, man. And I always tell Jake, like, if you were there to just be in the room and see, if the walls could talk and tell you about the wars that have gone in like that gym of him sparring with Pat DeFranco, him and Johnny Bowman, him and Michael Chandler, and all these other guys, it's just Joey Colon, like the fights that he had. I do feel like a lot of his best days have been left in the gym because of the knee injuries that took a lot out of him, and even trying to get back to the fight, I feel like he's had to deal with a lot. And he's like one of the best guys in the world. Like, it's like he's super. His heart's in it, you know. Like he's in it all the way, and that's what I respect about him. And I'm the same way. Like, I'm emotional about it, man.
Right.
But, like, I didn't know where we both stood in that sense of how serious we took it. Like, I didn't know we were, like, taking it to the grave. Like, I was like, damn, dude, I didn't know it was like that. Now I know. Like, thanks for letting me know. Because he was kind of like, everyone I have a problem with, you're, like, friendly with. But I'm not in the same weight class. So Mike Perry. Dylan Dennis. Then Kevin Lee. I'm like, dude, it's not intentional. Don't think I'm like out here trying to befriend all the guys that you have beef with. It's not like that. Like,
but you got to appreciate a guy like Al, where it's like, you know, that motherfucker will take a bullet for you.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Got that mentality to him, and you know it is what it is. Like, dude, it was hilarious when Dan fought Calvin Kattar. I'm super close with Tyson Chartier. Like we talk, 3-4 times a week, and I'm close with Calvin and those guys. Like we're all friends. But when Dan was fighting with Cater, we got to and this isn't Fight Island. I think maybe the first Fight Island card, and we get to the airport and I see him and I was like, "What's up, man?" Go to give him a hug, and I got cold shoulder by Tyson. He's like, "Nope, like can't talk to me." I'm like, "What? Really? Like you and I aren't fighting, asshole. Like I don't care. Like it's a fight." But that energy and vibe, like Cater's like, we're not fucking friends with these dudes. And I respect that.
Yeah, no,
I absolutely respect that. So after the fight was over, Cater doesn't even go over and say anything to Tyson. Those guys, he runs over to the cage and gives me a big old hug. He's like, "Dude, I love you, bro. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to be a dick." I'm like, "Dude, I get it. I understand. I'm just a friendly guy." So
yeah. And when Al and I spoke about it, like he even mentioned, like when I was on vacation with Rebecca, I had to step out. I didn't have international minutes. He was like, "Bro, I'll pay for your fucking minutes. Answer the phone." It's the funniest thing. I was like, "Dude,
back when we were broke."
I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So to me, I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, "You know what, bro? I'll pay for them. Like, if this is that important to you, then this has to be something that needs to be addressed." And then we spoke, and he was like, "Dude, when you were fighting Cody Stamen and I didn't know I could be cool with Cruikshank because he was cornering him, and I was being weird with him because you're my boy." Right. And I was like, I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I wish we had this conversation beforehand so that we can kind of have known like how we're approaching this fight. I was like, dude, I don't care if you talk to these guys. At the end of the day, this is what I have to do to flip the switch so that I can go fight this guy.
Yeah.
And after it's all said and done, it's like if you win, I lose, or I win, you lose. And life goes on, man. It's like, but beforehand, it's like, all right, this is to the death.
To the death.
But it's just me and him. It's not, okay, my coaches can't talk to this guy, blah, blah, blah. And I explained that as well. So it's like we had a better understanding of each other and how we approach it. I'm like, dude, I didn't know like that's how you took it.
For sure.
And that's not what I wanted to make you uncomfortable with the guy you were on The Ultimate Fighter with.
Right.
Like this is obviously a guy you have history with, came to the gym before and trained with us. Like, I didn't want to make you uncomfortable like that. My bad. Like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But after we spoke about it, I felt like it made our bond a lot closer. Because now I understand Al from a different perspective, So that's why it's always funny. I'm like, I like Kevin, but I feel like I can't get that close with him because if I do, Al's going to be like, "Why are you hanging out with him?" I'm like, "Yo, dude, he's not a bad guy." I think, and I even told him, I was like, "Dude, I think, honestly, you guys would get along with each other."
Isn't that funny?
It's just that you guys fought each other twice, and I do think you guys would get along with each other.
Like how many people hate Sean Strickland, and I'm always like to like Kevin Holland. Like I swear to God, you guys would get along if you actually just let that opportunity happen.
110%.
You guys would get along. You'd be the best training partners ever because you both are dogs. You love it. And Kev's like, man. I remember one time Kev was like, "Man, I fuck with Sean though, but I can't let him know that I like him." I was like, "Oh, dude, come on, Kev. Like this dude, like you guys would get along, So
I was
it's
like,
funny
"Nah,
how
I
that
can't
works.
see it."
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm just telling you. Like, I know both of you guys. You obviously a lot deeper, and I'm like, I think you guys would be actually really cool with each other.
Yeah, that's funny, man.
And Kevin's got a mentality who's like, when he's about to fight, he's the same way. He's like,
for sure,
fuck everybody.
Yeah, fuck everybody.
And I was the same way. So it's like, I'm like, dude, you guys are more similar than you actually realize.
Yeah.
But I'll just like, nah. But yeah, it's all good, man. But yeah, I felt bad how that fight went. I thought it would have been a lot closer. Jake called it. He was like, dude, I just think it's gonna be very one-sided. I said, nah, Kevin can wrestle, bro. And yeah, he got hit with that right hand, and that was like the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of the end.
Snuck it to the inside, too.
Yeah.
Like he
I felt defensively, he was kind of like
reaching for it, huh?
Yeah, instead of at least shelling or like.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good shot, like well timed, 1-2 down the middle. And what can you do?
To me, it was a very good litmus test for both guys at the moment, and then Renat came out and did his thing,
Yeah.
Unfortunately now for Kevin, I think he's 0-3 at welterweight. We lost to RDA at welterweight.
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, that was the one,
But he looked good until he got tired.
He did, and again, like sometimes I think the fight IQ and the situational awareness gets away from Kevin. In that particular fight, I know Kevin took D-Rod down in the first round, and D-Rod checked his ego a little bit. He's like, "Oh, are you just going to wrestle fuck me this whole fight?" And Kevin wanted to try to knock him out in round 2 and 3, played into D-Rod's game, So sometimes it's just not really about the ego. It's just about getting 2 paychecks.
Fight game is interesting, man.
Right.
A lot of psychological warfare that goes on in the middle of that octagon that people don't know about. But we got anything else for you, Jake?
There is one more sleeper fight. Alonzo Manfield versus Jimmy Crute. I think.
Oh, was that a draw?
That's a rematch.
Yeah, was that a draw the last time?
It was a rock
wild,
and
bro.
robot fight, bro. That shit was
Holy
nuts.
shit, that fight was wild.
Draw.
It was a
It was
draw,
a draw.
huh?
Yeah.
I remember Crute coming out heavy and then all of a sudden it was Menefield turning the tides, bro. It was nuts. And it was fucking
Menefield tried to kill that man.
yeah. And then dude, I love that Pat Barry's like coaching Menefield now. Like he's a psycho and those dudes are just screaming. And
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
Pat Barry, after I win, he just sent me a selfie of him saying of himself, just like
That's awesome.
it's just like yo.
Yeah, man. Dude, Menefield's he's a specimen,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know. Like that's a crazy fight. I don't know. I think it's gonna be another crazy fight, but
Flip a
I can see
coin.
Menefield just if he lands that early on, I don't know if Jimmy Crute could weather that storm again.
Yeah.
That's a hard storm. That's some tough waves to try to cruise through, man. That ain't easy.
And Crute's a guy that like a couple tough breaks here and there, but I mean, dude, that kid's really, really good, really talented, you know?
Yeah.
The Anthony Smith fight comes to mind with the perennial nerve, right? He gets kicked in the leg right away and then was able to shoot a takedown and complete the takedown, but then the fight was over because he couldn't walk anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like after that first round. So a couple tough breaks here and there. And I think what Jamal Hill fight, right? He was talking about it today, hit him with that check hook, you know?
Yeah. Damn. Jamal Hill's good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a beast, man.
So
That's all the big fights. Really.
yeah. So this is gonna be a great card. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna be at International Fight Week. Are you gonna be there as well?
I don't know. You know how it goes. Every once in a while, it's like one of those, hey, I got a ticket, come down, whatever.
Okay,
So,
okay.
You know,
They only gave me 2. They never really give me any more than that. It's usually 1 or 2.
that's the days now, man. Back
Yeah.
in the heyday, it was 10. You know, they used to hook it up
Yeah.
before it was.
Thankfully,
It
we
was
get
Zuffa.
2. And I know I'm only getting 2 because I'm the current champion. Normally, it would just be 1. Sorry, that's all we can do for you. But
Yep.
I'm very blessed and fortunate for it. So definitely thank you to the UFC,
Yep.
Amber, Joan. Very much appreciate that.
I don't think I'll get a ticket from Ollie this time.
Nah, not after the main event.
Sorry, Ollie.
Sorry, brother. Sorry, brother. There's nothing I can do for
No,
you.
sorry, brother. Ollie loves me, man. He's great.
Yeah. I'm gonna be doing 2 fan experiences. I think 3. Actually, I'm doing the DraftKings desk on Wednesday, and I think Friday and Saturday I'm doing 2 fan experiences, and
Nice.
then I'm doing Planet 13. So if you guys know what Planet 13 is in Las Vegas, it's a dispensary. I'm gonna be doing that appearance I think at like 6 or 7 p.m. So I'm gonna get my training in the morning, and then I got that experience with the fans with the UFC, and then after that I got that Planet 13 appearance as well. So
Nice.
we're gonna be booking, man.
Yeah, bro.
If
I
you need
I'd
any
love to
treats,
see
let
it,
me
man.
know.
No,
Let
that's
me know. I got some treats. I
Not
got some
my
treats.
wheelhouse, man. I'll drink the rum, but that Planet 13 stuff, man.
It's
not for me.
dangerous.
Yeah,
Dangerous
it just-
territory.
It's not for me, man. I'll end up
Dude,
napping
I
all
tell you
day.
what, man. I took one 2 nights ago, and it was the best sleep I took one at like 4:30. I fell asleep and passed out on the couch while on the phone with my fiance around 6. I didn't wake up till midnight, about 12:30, bro.
Oh, wow.
And then I woke up. I saw all these missed messages. I texted everybody, and then I got off I went back to bed probably like around 1:30. But it was the most sleep I've gotten. I felt like it was the best recovery
Really?
I've had in a very long time. Because obviously I came from Miami, my boy's bachelor party.
Yeah.
I trained out there. Like
Yeah.
I'm being responsible, making sure I'm getting my training in first before having some go
How
time.
was, how was Goat Shed? Did you have fun over there?
It was cool. He wasn't there because he was
same.
at one of the fights
Oh, that's right.
in
that's right.
Jacksonville. For
But it's got a cool environment.
Yeah, those guys are nuts,
It's
though.
gritty, bro.
Very gritty.
Yeah.
And I kind of like it. I was like, oh, this reminds me of the back in the days when I was sleeping at the gym and
100%.
waking up and training and just doing all kinds of crazy
dude.
shit.
I liked it in there. I like that vibe. I like that mentality. You know, they're hungry, right? They have that energy about them, and I think it seems doing some good things over there.
Yeah, I want to go. And hopefully, after this fight, I could go down there and pay back the favor of them taking me in and their guy Freddie holding pads for me and whatnot for free and all that. So I want to go back and maybe do like a seminar for them and just. I just like to help people that help me, you know. So
Yeah,
at the
for
end
sure.
of the day, pay it forward. Like I had a lot of people who helped me on my way up, and if I could pay it forward to the next generation or just share some of my knowledge, I think that goes a long way. And it's just something I enjoy doing, just from a coaching standpoint, a teaching standpoint, because I went to school for teaching. So
Right.
to be able to go back and do something like that, I think it would just make me feel good internally. You
And
know?
it has a ripple effect that sometimes you don't even
Yeah.
understand. Maybe you being there brings 10 people in that never been there before, and it makes them sign up.
Yeah.
Right. So that ripple effect that you might have just by showing up really might do them a big favor.
It'd be cool. Yeah. So, and I like Miami. It's not a
Yeah,
bad place.
oh,
It's not a
yeah,
bad place to be.
right.
So I'll talk to the team about it. And yeah. So, I mean, other than that, man, hopefully we get this rum company up and going, man. I can't wait to have these samples for people to try. I'm telling you, no gas. This is gas. This is going to be some really good quality stuff. And we had the other stuff, but it was mixed with like Venezuela, Barbados. So it would have been more of a Caribbean rum versus a straight up Jamaican authentic rum. So this one's going to be straight up Jamaican. The first batch that we do, we want to make sure we do that. It's going to be a limited edition. And even one of my best friends who does not drink at all, he says, dude, when you get yours, he's like, I'm going to have one with you. I was like, bro, that makes me feel good. Because he just appreciates everything I've done for him. My boy Enoch, love that guy. So it'd be cool to have him just celebrate with me in the terms of a launch of something that's going to be very big for my career outside of fighting.
Yeah,
like
it's been a
fighting is
project
cool,
for you
but
for a little while now.
very, very big,
Yeah.
man. We've been trying to get this going for a bit. Jake tried it. I had some other people trying the stuff, and just make sure we're not being biased about the taste, and that's the most thing I'm proud about. And of course, keeping it authentic to the Jamaican roots. And then one of the things I talked to the guys about is like, what do you guys not like in Jamaica about other rums? And it's like, you can't call Jamaican rum that's not 100% Jamaican
There you
Jamaican
go.
rum. So I was like, all right, done. That's it.
Man, it's some good stuff, bro. Can I say, very proud of you. I'm very honored to be a part of your circle and everything that you've accomplished, like from the outside perspective, right? Like just being a fly on the wall and being around, seeing some of those small things, but especially, being in the crosshairs of that first Yawn fight, the way you carried yourself, man, like it was an honor to be a part of. And, I tell people all the time, like when you come into the gym, you don't have to really talk to Aljo, but just watch him, watch the way he works, watch the way he carries himself and do all those things. And, you've really held that championship mantra very highly. It's an honor to be a part of and just be a small part of that journey with you, man. It's been an honor.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank
bro.
you, for sure. So much more to go, man. I'm 33. 34 next month. This is crazy.
Old fart, dude.
I know. I got a couple more good ones in me left, man. So I really do hope to put on some of the best performances that I can coming forward with the next few fights, and hopefully riding off into the sunset with a lot of goals and everything accomplished. And hopefully we leave a good mark on the sport for you, for myself, for like others following the footsteps, others that are watching us, kids that are aspiring to be future coaches or future athletes. It's a lot that goes into this, man. So I hope you guys are paying attention. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into this. It's not just an overnight success. I've been at this since 2011, 2010 as an amateur while I was wrestling in college as a full-time college student.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that was this. After I was done, I was like, I'm going to get my degree, but this is what I'm going to pursue. And thankfully it all worked out. And here I am a couple of years later, or a lot of years later. But
Right. Hey, there's no off seasons, right? In this
There's
game.
no off seasons at all,
seasons,
man.
It is, especially if you're getting into coaching.
Yeah.
Just know you're gonna miss a lot of birthdays, soccer games, dance recitals, all those things, man. There is no off season for us. So
yeah. So on that note, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Eric, for pulling up.
dude, my
It's
pleasure.
been,
Thanks
been
for
a
having
time.
me.
It's been a long time. We were talking about doing this, so finally we get to do this. And I appreciate you guys always tuning in. Don't forget to drop a comment. I'll make sure I get back to you.
So I thought it would be fun to hear, like, how'd you get into coaching?
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
Cool. How I got into coaching, man. Like, I always envisioned myself coaching at some capacity. I really thought it'd be football. You know? I coached football. My uncle was when I got out of college, my uncle was the head coach at a high school here. He brought me on and I ran the passing scheme for his high school. And, he was there for only a year. We made the playoffs, and then he's just a tough dude to get along with, right? He ended up getting fired by the principal, so I was out of a coaching job after, pretty much my first year in football. And, being that my dad was out here for 35 years in the school district, I could have jumped on another team and coached and done some other things. But, I stepped into Extreme Couture 2006, it really was for no other reason other than just I wanted to be around better people. That was really it, man. Like I didn't like where my life was going. I didn't like who I was hanging around. I felt like it was predicated on the Las Vegas nightlife, and I knew that I needed to kind of have that change of scenery, if you will, right? Like check your surroundings. The people that I was hanging around weren't bad people.
Yeah.
I'm just talking like consistency was like, hey, let's go out and drink. Let's go out and do this. Let's go out and gamble. Let's go out, to clubs. And they're all great people, but I just felt like I was slipping down that Vegas path. And then, I stepped into Extreme Couture and, I met Mike Pyle. I met Jay Heron. I met Randy and Dennis Davis. And I felt a part of something bigger, and I felt like this is just where I wanted to be. And as time went on, it was actually Jay Heron. Jay pulled me aside and I was training every day and we're doing everything every day and I was working at night. And Jay pulled me aside. And I remember, I never forget this. I can see it so clear. He sat me on the side of the boxing ring. He's like, bro, what do you want to do? You gonna want to fight pro? Like, because there's no amateurs at the time. There's no Tough Enough.
Yeah.
You want to turn pro? You want to do this? You want to do that? And I really didn't know what it wanted to do, but I was like, Jay, I feel like I want to coach a little bit. And he's like, dude, I think that's your path, man. Like you got an eye for the sport, and I would always have this like, what would the word be? I guess like imposter syndrome because I didn't have pro fights, and I was like, well, how am I going to tell these guys this if I actually wasn't in there, and he's like, dude, it doesn't matter.
Ray was the same way,
Now,
I'm not saying how he felt, but he actually never fought himself, but he sparred and he trained.
Yeah, of course,
same thing.
And same, like, dude, I was brought up through Extreme Couture, and that's what I did. So I was offered to fight Ryan Bader at one point. Yeah, dude, that dude would have murdered me, right? Dennis Davis was on a card, a local show here in town. It was at the Riviera, and the promoter came in to check in on Dennis, and Dennis and I were like main training partners. Like I was huge, but I was like 230 pounds. But Dennis was coaching all the day classes, and then he didn't have a car. He couldn't drive. So I would drive Dennis like to practice and things like that. So Dennis and I trained a bunch. So this guy comes in and checks in on Dennis, and he's like, hey, man, do you want to fight? Like, I'll pay you $2,000 to fight this guy, Ryan Bader. And I'm like, I know Bader. Like, I played football. He played football at McQueen. Like, he was a year younger than me or something like that. I'll ask my wife, right? And Annie's like this pregnant with McKenna. Like, she's ready to pop. Right? McKenna's 15 right now. And Annie was like, are you out of your fucking mind? She's like, no, you're not fighting Ryan Bader for $2,000 and get your neck broken, which he would have murdered me, But I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe let's go out and fight. Who knows? Whatever. And she's like, absolutely not. And I think a lot of that really had to do with more of the business sense for my wife because, at the time, if you weren't in the UFC, you weren't making good money. And that wasn't even good money.
Yeah.
Guys are making like 8-8, right? They weren't making great money at the time. Like Gray Maynard fought Frankie, I think, for the title. And dude was like 30-30. Like, I'm not. Don't quote me on that. But I just remember Gray.
I know it was a different time back then.
It was a different time back then. So financially, for me, it didn't make a lot of sense. So, getting into the coaching, it for me just really, I guess, fit my ethos, my ideologies, and man, I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. I pull up to work every day, and I pinch myself and go, dude, like this is pretty cool. Like I was literally like changing the urinal fucking thing, and I'm like, I'll do this if I have to have this type of job. Like if I get to be able to do what I love and be around people like yourself, and you and I always laugh. And I told you that one time, like I call them get tos and got tos.
Yeah.
Like I get to coach guys like yourself, and then there's guys you got to coach. You have to because you need to make that extra money. Well, I'm happy to say like I'm at a point now in my life where like I get to pick and choose who I get to coach. So I love where I'm at, and I love the job that I have.
No, that's amazing. That's cool.
I thought, is there any crazy stories you have in the back room, like with any of your fighters that are
like fight day back home?
Yeah, like
oh
like,
man,
like wild stories.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question, bro. I hate to put this guy on blast, but I mean
you don't have to say his name if you don't want to, but if you want to, it's fair game.
Yeah, I don't want to put his name out there, but there was an avid vomiter, like he would get so much anxiety and be so anxious before fights, and he would just start dry heaving and throwing up before a fight, and like big fights too. and then you wasn't sure if he wanted to fight or if he could fight, and you'd have to like talk him off the ledge and send him on out there and fight. And he was very successful. He's a very, very good fighter, but he had this like anxiousness about him, and you'd have to calm him down and get him out there and go do his job, and the dude was pretty good.
It's not the guy that beat me, right?
Might have been.
Yeah.
Might have been. No. Aljo wouldn't fuck me for a while, bro. Like, I always see Aljo. I was like, man, you don't even talk to me.
Yeah. I still can't believe I lost to that guy.
And then the last one was, like, who's the most exciting fighter that you, like, coach, like, fight day? Who has the most exciting? Who's, like, the most exciting guy to watch fight from your perspective?
The most exciting guy to watch fight.
That you coach.
Okay.
I mean, you can make an argument for any of them. I mean, you really can. I would say the one that you're just most in awe of is obviously Francis.
Yeah.
Like
that's my pick.
There's as close as you're ever gonna get to a Mike Tyson effect.
That's what I was thinking.
The way the crowd, the energy, his demeanor is second to it's just different, bro. Like, you feel like this motherfucker's just about to take a nap. Like, he ain't even like, whatever, dude. I'll just go out there and just touch this guy and he's gonna go to sleep. I'll never forget COVID, Jacksonville, right? The first like sporting event in the world in 2020, Jacksonville, right? He's fighting Jairzinho.
I thought that was it. And then Dominic Cruz fought Henry Cejudo.
Yep. And then Gaethje and Tony were the first fight, or the main event.
Yeah.
We're walking, and I cornered Francis for JDS. Then we had Jairzinho, and there's a calmness about him. And the best metaphor I can give you is like, you see those drone footage of like a great white shark, and he's just fucking cruising, and then all of a sudden when it hits something, it goes, and he just got this like calm, easy, chill demeanor, and we're walking to hit the curtain. And here's Jairzinho is facing the curtain, ready to get, all right, we're walking 5. And we're coming this way. And I see Jairzinho look over, and he looks back and just looks down. And you can just see, like, he's like, oh, fuck, dude, I got to fight this guy right now. And then we get in the cage. And then there's another, like, he like one of those where he gets in the cage, and like they're both listed as 6'4", and Jairzinho's not 6'4", and I don't think Francis is 6'4". I think Francis is probably more like 6'5", 6'6". And then you just hear that fucking pin drop because there's no crowd, bro.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's just right, and then you can see Jairzinho like, oh, dude, like I'm gonna fight this guy right now. It wasn't the prettiest or most technical by all means, but when that punch landed, it sounded like a goddamn shotgun went off. And there's no one in the arena, bro. It was eerie. It was so eerie. So, like, watching that man fight, and when he lands that punch and it lands clean, dude, it's just different. It's just different to be around.
Jairzinho was like kickboxing with him, and then Francis was like, it looked like he got annoyed. It's like,
exactly
okay, play time is over. Kick me inside leg kick one more time. Whoa. Beak.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was bad.
Spun him like a top. So, funny side note, Jairzinho called him out after he beat Overeem, right?
Yeah.
Remember that? And I get a little energized, I get a little hype in the corner, and I was fucking happy for my guy. And I jump up and I was like, go look at that motherfucker. He asked for that shit. And Francis thought I was mad at him that he didn't go check on him because he was dead. And he's like, if you see Francis, like, oh, I'll go check on him, And he's like petting him. He's like, hey, sorry, I killed you. I'm like, no, fuck him. And then I realized, like, dude, there's no one here. Everybody can hear me yell this. I'm on a hot mic with no crowd. I'm like, oh, bro, my bad. So yeah, man, definitely Francis is a crazy one to go watch fight.
Yeah, Francis is scary, man.
Yeah,
he's a scary dude.